There's Casey and his Dodge Charger ready to go to work. Here's the rest of the starting lineup for today's Samsung RadioShack 500. And welcome back to NASCAR on Fox after a brief illness. Glad to have Steve Burns with us.
Oh, thank you so much, Mike Joy. Now, you know, we've had 10 different winners in 10 races here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Now, I know a Roush Racing driver has won 5 of those races, but this place is so fast, so big, it doesn't seem to favor any particular driver. Now, moments ago, Ray Evernham, the owner of Casey Kane's pole-sitting team, told me, Steve, we looked at videotapes of in-car shots. The drivers back here 10 years ago used to really crank down on that steering wheel. Now they're just barely turning it. These guys have to drive these cars so hard to be fast here at Texas. Matt?
Steve, Jeff Gordon will start from the 11th position this afternoon. Now, when you look at Gordon's racing resume, a number of things are missing. Actually, 4 wins, and that's 1 race right here at Texas that he would love to put a check mark next to. In fact, adding more motivation, this is his worst racetrack on the circuit. His average finish, 17.1. Now, Steve Letarte told me leading up to this event, this is the race here at TMS where they expect to know whether they are on track as far as getting their mile-and-a-half program back to where it needs to be, or if they're still missing something. Yes, they had 2 top 5s at Las Vegas and Atlanta, but this is the place that they hope to use as a springboard for later in the year. They started out with a clean sheet of paper when they came to TMS with their chassis setup. So far, so good. The car is pretty decent. He will roll off in the 11th position. The Genie's Alaska.
So is this the week when Jeff Gordon ends the drought? I guess it depends on where you are and who you ask. I think I know what they're thinking here in the 20 pit. No way. Do you believe your gut or do you believe the stats? The stats are against them. It's kind of an interesting trend in 2006. As you look at the race winner so far this season, only one of them has come from outside of the top 10. But as Steve had mentioned earlier, they like to do things a little bit different here in Texas, and that includes the winners of 3 of the last 5 races. They have come from the starting position of 19th and even farther back, proving everything is bigger in Texas, even the comebacks. Now to the editor of Speedway Illustrated magazine, here is Dick Bergeron.
Well, deep in the heart of Texas, there are no bigger local hero sports stars than Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman. Football heroes both. Today, they are co-owners of one of the race cars in today's event. Tony Raines is their driver. 55 starts. He has never won one of these events, and he starts deep in the field. 200,000 fans have jammed this stadium, and all are going to be watching Raines and car number 96 to see how he's going to do for the local football stars. Raines and Staubach both told me this morning that all they want to get out of today is to finish the race and get the pressure off. But don't you just know they want desperately to finish up front, Mike Joy?
Yeah, it's a big day for Hall of Fame racing here in Texas.
Let's look at our FedEx racetracks here for Texas Motor Speedway, this 500-mile race. There you see 45 miles per hour on pit road. Pit window for fuel, 60 to 65 laps. Pretty good tire they've got here today. Now, this is the FedEx racetrack keys. A well-balanced car. We saw yesterday in the Busch race. So important to keep that car on the fine line between not too loose, not pushing. We're done with short track racing. You better keep the fenders and the nose clean on that car or your day will be over. You heard Steve Burns talk about how hard you have to drive here. Never relax in this 334-mile race or you'll be in the fence or the leader will be on your rear bumper.
Casey Kane starts his Dodge from the pole. He's top center in our onboard cameras. He won from the pole at Atlanta, a very similar racetrack. A dozen onboards for you today. Alongside Kane, J.J. Yaley for Joe Gibbs Racing with his best career start ever.
DW, it's not a barbecue, but it's a heck of a Texas party. Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing. Hop down.
It wouldn't surprise me to see a little trouble here early, guys. As hot as it is, slick as it is.
Track was definitely a little cooler yesterday in those 2 morning practice sessions.
Mark Martin to challenge Kane for the first lap lead. He gets it.
Those 5 points pretty important to the man sitting second in points. He drove her off into turn 1 and 2, and that thing stuck right at the bottom. Mark Martin in the 6th car.
Watching Yaley challenge Casey Kane for third. That is Jeff Green up in the second spot.
It just looks like right now the bottom of this racetrack is the way to go. There's a second groove, but it's not fast right now.
3 wide, middle of the pack, coming off turn 4. Jeff Burton on the bottom. Scott Riggs was up on the high side.
There's our man Kurt Busch back here. I watched him in practice yesterday. Larry, you talk about a top groove, a second groove. If there's one there, I believe he'll get to it, because all his practice yesterday was in the second lane. He was the only one yesterday that was trying to make that work.
And he made it work in that Busch race that he ended up winning as well. Casey Kane, though, our pole sitter in the 9 car, he continues to lose positions. He's all the way back to the 6th position, about to lose that position to Bobby Labonte in the 43.
Martin Truex in the 1 coming as well. Up front, Mark Martin, but Jeff Green, former Busch Series champion with his best start of the year, closing right up on the leader.
This car's been good ever since they unloaded on Friday.
Yeah,
qualified good in practice.
Booty Barker, the crew chief on that car, sharp crew chief, good cars. They're Hendrick cars, Hendrick Motors. Well, the Hendrick Motors, I think they do their own cars, but they definitely got what it takes to be contending here.
Greg Biffle, that yellow number 16, trying to break the string of no repeat winners at Texas. And what's happened to our pole sitter, Steve?
Mike, Casey Kane has not said a word yet, but I spoke to Ray Evernham. He told me that during practice yesterday, they were loose and then tight. One of the reasons there's a new right side tire here on these race cars. Another reason for his handling problems, the Busch race. Those teams put down more rubber yesterday. And just a second ago, Casey Kane just said, real loose.
And this racetrack, like Darrell pointed out a few laps ago, it's a lot hotter. It's much slicker than it was yesterday. Now, you heard Matt Yoakum talk about Jeff Gordon in the 24 car. Actually qualified pretty good, but he's beginning to slide back to the 13th position. Terrible in practice yesterday morning. They were really having their hands full with this race car.
Yeah, actually, none of the Hendrick cars were all that great yesterday. Jimmy Johnson was struggling a little bit, too. So, Matt, what do you know down there, bud?
Well, it's a scientific experiment of the 12 with their Intrepid goes on the inside. Jeff Gordon complaining about something he's complained about all weekend on newer tires, and that is the car is just so loose on entry.
Now, guys, the irony of the Hendrick cars not running good, the car that's sitting there challenging for the lead right now, Jeff Green in that 66 car, pretty much a Hendrick-affiliated car. They have open book policy between these teams.
Well, he better look in his mirror, because here comes Biffle for second place.
He better not look in the index, because it's going to show 16 going up through there.
And Biffle did him just like he did Yaley a while ago, right to the bottom of the racetrack. Car washed up a little bit there, though.
And you'll see that a lot here. Side by side, going in the corner, it makes the car on the inside loose. He gets up into the car on the outside. Sometimes the inside guy survives. The outside guy goes home.
Well, eight wheels corner better than 4.
Yeah, he got it.
Kurt Busch coming into the picture. And Roger Penske's number 2.
If you looked up momentum, I expect you'd see a picture of that 2 car right now, because he's had a couple of 3 good weeks. He won the Busch race yesterday. I think that team is really, really going to be tough.
Greg Biffle to second place.
All year long, not just right now.
Steve Burns.
And Mike, just listening to Kurt Busch on the radio, he's just told his crew chief, Warren McCauley, that his car is just a little free, getting into the corner and a little tight in the center.
Now catching that group is rookie Denny Hamlin. He's in 6th place. As you ride along.
Well, just like the Hendrick cars maybe are struggling, the Gibbs cars have not been. In practice, in the first practice yesterday, they were 1, 2, and 4. The 3 cars were as 4 speeds were concerned. And I think Tony is just, I think Tony Stewart has just lit a fire under this whole operation. Bring these 2 young guys in, Yaley and Hamlin, and they've got a really good combination right now. Driver, crew chief, the whole thing.
But look at the interesting first 10 laps Stewart has had coming up through. He is now to 27th place.
Yeah, he was dog meat qualifying. Right. I mean, he just couldn't get it hooked up at all. He was sliding all over the place.
This is that same car he was so dominant at Fontana with when they had the engine problem. His only DNF of 2005 was right here a year ago when he had that big engine fire on the back straightaway.
11 laps complete. The Roush Fords up front. Mark Martin and Greg Biffle, Jeff Green and J.J. Yaley in Chevrolets, and Kurt Busch in a Dodge. Mark Martin led the first 11 laps in Texas. Greg Biffle drove past and you see has pulled away. Here's the lead change.
Yeah, we've been watching Mark Martin, a 6 car. Looks like his car was getting loose. He saw his teammate coming. No sense in pushing the envelope here this early in the race.
That's a lead handoff. It wasn't really just a handoff. Mark says, I've had it a while, you take it.
But you know, as I watched Greg Biffle in the 16 car, how many times in the first 6 races have we seen this right here? I mean, already this year, he's first in miles led, second laps led. Think about the races where he looked like there was no way he could lose it. Had the engine at Fontana, the tire at Bristol, caught up in a wreck last week. They've had trouble closing the deal this year.
That's why he's 18th in points. He was second in points at this time last year.
Well, he gives 100% all the time. And there's some of these races where you need to only give 90% at certain parts of the race so you can give 100 at the end of the day. Don't use it all up out here pulling away from people. He's not racing anybody. Back off and run the speed that just keeps you in front.
Elliott Sadler moves to 18th place ahead of the 5 of Kyle Busch, and Tony Stewart has been passing them where he catches them. He's moved into the top 20. Watch this move in the backstretch.
On the outside, to the bottom, to the inside. This has been going on ever since the drop of the green flag.
Stewart is up in the top 20 and gaining on that race for 17th ahead of him. Fastest car on the racetrack, though, is Biffle. He has led every race this year except Martinsville and led the most laps at California and at Atlanta.
And Dick Berggren, he's in his own zip code right now, half a second quicker than the cars behind him.
Yeah, and he just came on the radio a moment ago, Larry, and he said that his car is absolutely perfect. Not so the 2 cars behind him. Mark Martin's radio conversation was that the car was tight, particularly coming off the corners. Jeff Green is in 3rd position in car number 66. He said his car is shattering the tires through the corners, especially when he gets behind other cars. But oh yeah, Biffle, who won last year in the spring here at Texas and who had to come from dead last to do it, today started in 5th spot, leading at the moment.
.22 laps in. J.J. Yaley right behind Green, running 3rd and 4th. They're about 5 seconds off the lead.
I'm going to tell you what, our rookie group, they just continue to amaze me. Right now, we've got 4 of our rookies in the top 10. You've got J.J. Yaley in the 18 car. Right behind him, we're riding with him, Denny Hamlin in the 11 car in the 5th position, and not too far behind this group right here, Martin Truex Jr. driving for DEI. He's in 9th. And right behind him, a guy that has really come to life over these last few races, Reed Sorensen in that 41 car. I think Reed and his crew chief, Jimmy Elledge, are really starting to click now.
Well, all these rookies come in with great credentials. I mean, they've had success somewhere. They didn't just drop out of the sky. They came here with some experience. Pretty good bunch of rookies, as you said.
Right behind Sorensen, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who had, I think, the drive of his Nextel Cup career last week at Martinsville, took a battered car and brought it home in the top 5. Matt?
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. just outside the top 10, running in the 11th spot. Jr. says the car is free on entry like a lot of other drivers so far, just past the first third of this run. He says the car is turning great through the center, just tick tight up off the corner. Meanwhile, the guy who's trying to chase him down is Ryan Newman in the 12. Newman says the car is free big time on entry, bottoming out a little bit earlier on, but tight off. And then the guy right behind him, Jeff Gordon, started 11th. He has slowly faded back to 13th. His car is his teammate, the 25, Brian Vickers, is slowing on the racetrack. Jeff says the car is just so incredibly loose off the corner. He loses so much time through the center, and then he just loses even more time off the corner.
Brian Vickers dropped to the apron in turn 1.
And guys, it looks like an engine problem, and the 25 seems to be the Hendrick car that continues to have engine problems. Not on a regular basis, but this would be about the 3rd or 4th problem they've had.
He is going to make it to pit road without bringing out a caution.
Well, there's some guys at the back of the field right now that had hoped there was a caution, because that 16 car, he's not too far away from putting some pretty good cars at the back of the field a lap down. You got to Dale Jarrett up here, and you got the 22 and 32. They got a bunch of good cars up here.
Brian Vickers has taken his GMAC Chevy to the garage. What's wrong, Matt?
Mike, the engine is not running on the Chevrolet of Vickers. Now they're going to raise the hood, take a look at it just in case. He asked them, should I take it all the way back to our stall? First they said, let's stop it on pit road and take a look. Then one of the engine tuners said, no, let's just take it back to the garage. We'll take one look under the hood, but more than likely we are done for the day.
I think he knew it was pretty terminal when he came off the racetrack. But I'm going to tell you right there, just look, Greg Biffle about to put Dale Jarrett in that 88 car a lap down.
Casey Kane battles Kurt Busch. This is for 6th place.
And the interesting thing about that is that 88 car was one of the faster cars in our second practice yesterday. He and the 38 both. So obviously there's something not right on that car.
Kurt Busch won yesterday here in Texas in his first ever NASCAR Busch Series race. So he was in a great mood on the pace laps and offered this to his crew.
All right, boys and girls. We all have to believe we've got just as good a car today as we did yesterday. Pit stops are crucial here. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, though. Just go out here, do our job, make adjustments on the car as needed. It's a long 500 miles. Appreciate all the hard work, boys. Let's go have some fun today.
Now, to me, that's the comments of a veteran. Someone that's been there a long time, kind of, okay, crew, you know, we're all together here. Just have some fun. Doesn't sound like a guy that's only been doing this a pretty short period of time.
And as a crew chief and a crew standing in those pits before this 500-mile race, that pumps you up. Hey, my driver's pumped up. We need to be pumped up too, boys.
Yeah, that's a voice of confidence. Busch is in 6th. Greg Biffle is your leader. He's been out in front for the last 19 laps in Texas. Texas Motor Speedway's prior Cup winners are in this race. Will we see our first repeat winner today? Text the word crew to 191 on your Singular wireless phone or log on to foxsports.com/singular. You'll also be entered to win Jeff Burton's payday in the July race at Daytona.
One of them's working pretty hard on it right now.
Yes, he is, and it's our leader, Greg Biffle, who is the fastest car on the racetrack. And watch him at the top of your screen come up on this pack. Yikes.
That's that 100% I'm talking about. You know, right now's a good time to cool your jets. He's quicker than anybody by several tenths. Take it easy. Save the thing.
You have a great saying, DW, and I use it with my son, Brandon. Don't give me 110%. Just give me 100.
Right. 110% will get you in trouble.
Exactly.
Well, Jeff, he's already worked through that pack of cars he was catching. He's putting some good cars a lap down.
He really is, Mike. And we talked about it early on during the pre-race show that the drop-off of the tires, the consistency that the car can get with the tires is what's so important here in Texas. Right now, Greg Biffle, his car is performing at that kind of level. His car has not dropped off that much since the start of the race, and he continues to catch guys who are struggling a little bit and put them down several laps. But guys back through the pack that have the same type of program going on, they're so far down the line, you're not really talking about them a lot. Kevin Harvick's car, he's gained about 14 positions so far since the start of the race. Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, and even Matt Kenseth, who started way back in the back because of an engine problem, they've all made it in the top 20 and are moving forward.
And remember, Matt Kenseth, there he is, the 17 car. He qualified in the 6th position, had to change engines after happy hour of the final practice yesterday. And like Jeff pointed out, he has moved into the top 20, going by our points leader, Jimmy Johnson, in the 4-8. This is a battle for the 19th position.
This gaggle of cars from 3rd place on back, running 8 seconds behind the leader, and this is heating up as the two Gibbs teammates, rookies Yaley in the 18 and Hamlin in the 11, go at it.
And I think what has happened with Casey Kane in the 9 car right in the mix of this as well is we've got into this run right here, burned off the fuel. We're 40 laps into it. His car has tightened up, and I've been watching him. He has made up 3 or 4 positions over the last 5 or 6 laps.
The cars are the most miserable to drive on the start of the race. You got the tires on that you qualified on. You got pretty low air pressure. You got track condition a little different than what you practiced. Sometimes it just takes your breath away for a few laps.
Saw these cars lapping past Derek Cope. Kevin LePage has made a pit stop and fallen off the lead lap as well.
We just talked about our points leader a while ago, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car. And Steve Burns, I talked to Chad Knaus, his crew chief, last night. They were not very happy with this car. A lot of changes this morning.
Yeah, I was going to say, Larry, I talked to him right before the race as well, and he said they got really tight in the happy hour practice, and he felt they were going to be tight when the race started. He was exactly right. The other thing, Larry, that they've had to contend with, teams can no longer test at the Texas Motor Speedway, and Chad was concerned about that. So he said they may not be good at the beginning, but they couldn't panic early in this race.
And Steve and Darrell, it's inevitable. We always see this at like a Texas Motor Speedway. Someone like Greg Biffle hits the setup from the drop of the green flag. You don't get a caution. He makes a lot of people's life miserable.
Another guy that's looking pretty good too is the 29 car.
Now here comes the 61 up on our leader, Darrell. This is Kevin LePage. He's just got fresh tires. Let's see how much of a difference it makes.
Yeah, that's a good test right there. The guys are saying the tires don't have much fall off.
Right there is where it makes such a difference.
Tires right there, clear.
Right in the middle of the corner. Now this is something we will follow all day long here in the race. You can see on Friday, this is the temperature of the track, 116 degrees. Final practice, the coolest it's been, 101. When the race started, 114. It's cooled down a little bit, but I've got to believe that's more down in turn 1 and 2 where we're starting to get just a little bit of shade. This place is really getting slick.
Kevin Harvick running in 10th. Running 31.40 is about a 1/10 of a second faster than leader Greg Biffle.
Started back in the 24th position, had one of the fastest race cars yesterday if that Busch race had only been about 150 miles long, and then he faded at the end, Jeannie.
Yeah, making that jump from the late 20s to the 12th position in just 30 laps. Really no complaints about the car, just this really good thing to say. The crew chief, the crew happy about the car. Very fast in the corners, ready to make up even more ground.
Thanks, Jeannie. Best battle on the racetrack right now is Martin Truex Jr., the Busch Series champion of last 2 years, trying to get past Bobby Labonte, and he does, entering turn 3.
In the 43 car, Bobby Labonte right there, qualified in the 10th position. He just lost that position to Martin Truex Jr. He's back to 8th. Interesting thing about this car, we've been following this story all year long. Dodge opened up to their teams and said you can run either a 2004 Intrepid, which is legal per NASCAR, or the 05 or 06 Dodge Charger. Well, look at this mess right here. But I think this is desperation. The leaders are coming on these guys right here, and they're battling, trying to stay on the lead lap, fighting to survive.
You're riding with Kenny Schrader. That's Michael Waltrip in 55.
They are real close friends.
And the 4 of Scott Weber.
Michael and Kenny.
And you see these little things right here on Kenny Schrader. What that is, that's little loops that teams have formed on the windshield tear-offs. That way under pit stops, rather than try to worry about cleaning the windshield, they can just shake one of those clear tear-offs off. There's probably 4 or 5 there.
Michael in the 55 car, he's been running high, but they run up on some traffic. And you see he dropped to the bottom, and now he's trying to make a move on Schrader, and just not enough room there to get under, and then getting off, you get that push. Fortunately, they didn't wreck each other because that was very close. You see Kyle Busch just fly right by both of them.
Casey Kane, Mark Martin, this is for 2nd place.
Mark Martin, just like he did his teammate Greg Biffle, we know we're just probably about 10 or 12 laps away from a pit stop. No sense in pushing the envelope right here.
We'll complete 50 laps next time by. Greg Biffle has opened up a 7-second lead on his Roush Racing teammate, Mark Martin and Casey Kane. You're watching Greg Biffle put our point standing leader, Jimmy Johnson, a lap down after 55 laps at Texas Motor Speedway. And Biffle is picking him up and putting him down.
And I think what you'll see Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson do is we see Robbie Gordon, and this is getting into these green flag stops, and we're starting to see Dale Jarrett, Carl Edwards in the 99, Mark Martin in the 6. These are all regular routine stops. I think you'll see that 48 car come to pit road pretty quick to try to get those fresh tires. In fact, here he comes in that 48 car.
Just like yesterday's Busch race, the first run of green flag racing, caution free. We have green flag pit stops again.
Of course, what all these guys hope is it cycles through all these green flag stops. We don't get that caution.
And it's pretty treacherous getting on pit road right now, Matt.
Sure is, EW. Very strong run so far this early portion of the race from Carl Edwards in the 99. Water, a bag of ice. They also made an air pressure adjustment and a track bar adjustment to try to fix that race car. Just too tight. He can't run the bottom. He runs better up top. Steve?
That is we said, Jimmy Johnson had gotten incredibly tight. He'll give 4 tires, and they have made an adjustment on the 48. Dick Berggren.
Greg Biffle, your leader, has pitted on lap 56. That's exactly where they said they were going to pit more than 10 laps ago. They're going to just take a little bit of wedge out of it. They've already done that in the right side of the car. A 4-tire stop. Biffle clearly has had the best car in the field today. He's stuck in. Kyle Petty is parked in front of him. Biffle had to back up.
But I think that's where, under green flag stops, these crew chiefs need to communicate with each other, with their neighbors, about when are you coming, and try to stagger it when you come in.
Tony Raines can't get out of his pits because Casey Mears is right there.
And, I mean, you're losing precious seconds right there.
Now, Mears and Petty were both stopped legally within their pit box. We'll explain more later as we keep going through pit stops. Dick?
And Jeff Green has pitted as well, Mike. He's not going to get blocked in because he has chosen a pit stall where no one is in front of him. There's an opening to the garage area directly in front of Jeff Green, who qualified 4th in this event, has run up front all day. A nice pit stop.
And unless you're going to run out of fuel, you're better to run another lap than get blocked in your pits.
Tell you what, getting on pit road down there has been pretty interesting. A bunch of cars running over each other, Steve.
Yeah, DW, Kurt Busch got very loose. They've taken air out of both front tires. They're also going to drop the track bar 2 rounds. It looks like they're having trouble on the right side of that number 2. They've gone to another jack. Let's go to Jeannie.
Well, the 20 team of Tony Stewart trying to develop a 1.5-mile oval package they can bring anywhere. California, Las Vegas, bad luck, engine failure, a flat tire. Atlanta, they finished 5th, and they're building on it today. We watched Tony just climb center exit. It's pretty tight, so they pull the rubber out of left rear air pressure, and he's gone.
Jeff Gordon exiting his pit almost got Bobby Labonte coming into his. Martin Truex in. Terry Labonte's done. Joe Nemechek stops.
Well, the race on pit road is a whole lot more exciting than the race on the track sometime, and you know why? You can make up seconds in the pits. You can only make up hundreds and tenths on the track. Watch this 17 now. He's coming in. He's coming hot. He's laid up behind the 10, or here we go back here. Behind the 10. He can't get woed up. Can't get woed up. Bam! Right up on the hood.
And we talked about it at the top of the show. Our FedEx racetracks keep that nose fenders cleaner. Your day could be done here.
Let me show you something on Greg Biffle's box. You see him here. He's pretty deep in the box. There's an empty spot behind him. If he had stopped short in the box, Kyle Petty would have been of no concern to him exiting. There you see, he could have been way back here and had plenty of room to shoot out. But no, he's got to back up.
Yeah, there's no reason he should have been blocked in with that opening behind him. That's the reason you choose an opening, whether it's behind you or in front of you.
Probably just slid in there a little hot, slid up into the front of the box.
Nevertheless, Biffle is our leader after pit stop cycle through. Steve?
Yeah, Mike, we're just getting word down here from Kurt Busch's crew that there's a peg or a bolt that sticks down from the frame of the race car where they set, as you're watching the replay, where the jack sets, and that actually broke is the report we're getting. It was not a problem with the jack itself. You can see they just could not get anything stable underneath the right side of that race car.
And what's happened, Steve, is the skirt is damaged, or the bottom of the rocker panel there. That'll have a little aero consequence.
And this was a car that was running in the top 10 or top 15, but because of that problem on pit road, he is now 1 lap down back in the 41st position. You see him racing there with his teammate Ryan Newman in the 12 car. Ryan Newman still on the lead lap in 20th.
That's a great big old bolt. It's got a jam nut on it. And they'll run that down to where the jack just will go in there so you can save a little bit of time jacking the car up. Must have had it run down a little far and it broke out of the where it was welded to the frame.
Here's Casey Kane, who is running in 2nd place to Greg Biffle by 3 seconds. So they had a great pit stop. Caution is out. First time today. And there's Kane coming out after a great stop, to the delight of his crew, because they knocked Greg Biffle's lead from 8 seconds down to 3, and now the caution flag has taken away the rest of it.
And let me tell you who is delighted about this caution flag. We talked about him a while ago. Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, the 48 team, by virtue of the problem that Greg Biffle had, and by those guys coming to pit road a little early to get fresh tires, he's back on the lead lap, the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson.
Strategy. I like that strategy.
A piece of debris in turn number 2, which has now been hit by a car and roll down to the backstretch.
That'd be a spring rubber.
Has what's put us under caution.
Maybe a half of a spring rubber.
Kyle Busch will get the free pass and get back on the lead lap. Well, everybody was just in the pits.
Well, I still think they didn't get some adjustments made on their car that they need more than they were able to do on that pit stop. This thing has a green flag look. We may not see the guys right at the front come in, but I bet you will see a lot of our lead lap cars plus the other cars come to pit road.
Is Greg Biffle coming?
Yes, sir.
He is. Yes.
Great time to breathe for about 12 seconds. Casey Kane in the 9 stayed out.
Mark Martin is in. Jeff Green is in. Here's Dick.
Well, a bit of a surprise to see Greg Biffle come in. Doug Richard asked him if he wanted a pit, and nothing was said from the cockpit of the car, so Richard brought his driver in out of the lead for a 4-tire change.
Kevin Harvick in as well. Carl Edwards, who climbed up into the top 15 after starting at the back. Jeff Burton, Dale Jr. Most of the lead lap cars chose to pit. There's Matt Kenseth, Casey Mears, Clint Boyer.
Looks like maybe for sure Casey Kane, we talked about him, possibly Denny Hamlin in 11. 2 cars that looks like they stayed out.
65 laps complete. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
That when you participate in Singular Virtual Crew Chief, you're automatically entered for a chance to win Jeff Burton's payday for the July race in Daytona. Jeff Burton currently running 15th in Texas. Most of you say no, we won't see a repeat winner. Casey Kane, Jeff Hammond, decided to stay out. A little fake move. Would you have gone in and pitted moments ago?
Well, I really believe that the Greg Biffle move was even better than the Kane move because he had almost 10 laps on his tires, and we talked about drop off early on. I think in the long run, Greg Biffle eventually will catch back up, and it'll be the difference later on.
Watching Kenny Francis in Casey Kane's pit. Steve, why did they not come in?
Mike, it was interesting strategy. They were in pit stall number 1 all the way down towards turn number 1. Kenny had a keen eye on Greg Biffle. At the last second, he told Casey, do not pit, stay out.
That's why Kane swerved toward pit road and then away. Watching from our DLP HDTV cable cam as we restart to begin lap 69.
And remember, Kane's car didn't come in too good on the start of the race, so maybe new tires, it's not happy, but you see what happens with old tires. He slid up the hill right there.
Michael
riding
Waltrip,
with
Jeff Gordon drive
Michael
away.
Waltrip. Yeah, Jeff Gordon, a 24 car, Michael, a 55. They are at the tail end of the lead lap, and the reason they were able to do that is they stayed out when some of the other leaders came to pit road, fighting to try to get a caution to be back on the lead lap.
We could have a new leader. J.J. Yaley drops to the inside, and the Phoenix native grabs the lead from Casey Kane.
And you see Denny Hamlin in 11, his teammate trying to follow him around the bottom. All these cars are cars that stayed out. The top 6 stayed out that time.
Bet they don't do it again. Because you can see what it's doing to Kane. I mean, he's just struggling now. Of course, it took him a lap or 2 earlier in the race to get going. We'll see if that works out this time.
Here comes Yaley's teammate, Denny Hamlin from Virginia. The rookie looking for second against Kane. Doesn't get it this time, but wow, what a great young season these 2 rookies are having for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yes, they are. And again, we mentioned it earlier, 2 of the best cars. Darrell mentioned it in practice yesterday. And you see right behind them that battle, Mark Truex Jr. in the 1 car, Tony Stewart in the 20, Bobby Labonte in the 43. Those are cars that also stayed out on that last caution.
Ooh, that 9 got a shot off of turn 4 that time, Larry. I mean, he was back wide open and makes a great run around the outside of the J.J. Yaley car to put himself back in the lead.
He's definitely moved that 9 car up to the top of the racetrack. And look at the run he gets from the center off.
That's just so much. You can just stay wide open up there like that.
Clear, clear.
Waltrip came up to cover the spot, trying to stay on the lead lap. Kane just drops it right down to the bottom. Matt?
J.J. Yaley, the green number 18 car down on the bottom, chasing the 9. A small air pressure adjustment, Mike. The car was just a tick tight, but the car is so good. J.J. could not wait. He loves these high-speed, 1.5-mile, 2-mile racetracks. Just wanted to survive Martinsville last week. A guy trying to survive today is the 24, Jeff Gordon. Larry Mack, in the pre-race show, you said your FedEx racetracks, keep your nose clean. This team trying to stay out front, get that clean air. Right now, they're struggling, though. The car, they pushed in 2 spring rubbers on the previous stop, an air pressure adjustment, track bar adjustment. Gordon just way too loose.
Matt, he needs a caution, and he needs it fast, because right now he's got his hands full with our leader, Casey Kane, in that 9 car. Again, remember, Tony Stewart in that 20 car started this race back in the 40th position. He worked his way to the top 15 before that last caution. Greg Zippindelli decided to stay out on that last caution. Here he is battling Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car and his teammate J.J. Yaley. This is a battle for 4th. So from 40th to 4th in 74 laps.
Darrell, it's a great drive by Stewart, but it seems like everybody is giving lots of room when they see that big orange fill up their mirror.
Kind of reminds me of people used to do the black 3, you know?
Yes, it
look back and
does.
see it and say, oh, am I in your way? Let me move over.
We were talking about Bobby Labonte earlier in this 43 car. He's been in the top 10 the entire time. Again, Todd Parrott, his crew chief, decided to stay out on that last caution as well. And I was about to tell the story about the 43 car. This is the 04 Intrepid. The Dodge officials told all the teams, mainly Petty Enterprises and Penske this week, this is the final week for the 04 Intrepid. Even though it's legal in NASCAR, we're in the business to sell Chargers. Science project over after this week, boys.
Here's his teammate Kyle Petty moving past Elliott Sadler. Kyle was good in practice yesterday. He is a lap down in that long green flag run and finds himself 34th. As another Dodge, Casey Mears, moves up on the 38 of Sadler, which is backing up a bit here. OAD stands for overactive adrenaline disorder, a quality these Ford drivers possess. And these are Ford's biggest movers of the race. Carl Edwards, 30 spots. Matt Kenseth, 28.
But I'm going to tell you what, you see Jamie McMurray in that 26 car. That car has struggled ever since, I think, the transporter left North Carolina the other day. Terrible qualifying run. They were terrible in practice yesterday, and now they are a lap down back in the 29th position. Now, Carl Edwards in the 99 car, that's one of the top running cars right now that elected to come to pit road and get 4 tires a while ago. He's up into the 7th position. As you see, he just went by Kurt Busch in the 2, but there comes that yellow number 16, Biffle.
Biffle's looking good. I like his strategy.
Casey Kane, many said, would be the man to beat here today. He started on pole at Atlanta, a similar racetrack to Texas, and won. He started from the pole today. That car has been bad fast.
The reason I like his strategy, Mike, Larry, is because he had the fastest car. So why take any chances? Come to pit road, get 4 tires, cover all your bases. Those guys are going to come right back to him.
Scott Riggs and Kyle Busch race for 18th place. Here comes Busch. Janie?
Well, long about lap 10. Kyle Busch actually brushed the wall. They were trying to figure out why, and we're giving you a picture here of really it's a lot bigger than it looks here. It's larger than a pinhole, but they've circled the hole in the tire. This would be the right rear, quite possibly the reason that he brushed the wall a little bit. Kyle frustrated because he doesn't have a very forgiving car. He can't make mistakes or take a hit.
He's running about 0.6 of a second slower than the leader, Jeannie. Matt Kenseth just climbed back into the top dozen with a little bit of damage from earlier, Matt.
His spotter, Bob Jeffrey, keeping Matt abreast of where the leaders are running on the racetrack, whether they've moved up even more. But you can see the damage to the nose of the car. The team pitted the last caution to work on that nose. Put some tape across there to seal up the damage. Kenseth, like a lot of other guys, is chasing grip. His car is so loose on exit, he's losing too much time trying to get back in the gas. You can see that's where it happened entering pit road.
See, that's a perfect example of why it's so easy to spin somebody out when you don't even mean to. You see how the nose of that 17 slid right up under the back of the 10 car? You misjudge a little bit. Guy gets in the gas, gets out of the gas. You're right behind him. Oh, big wreck. Whoa.
Biffle.
Greg Biffle in the 16 car. That was right in front of those boys right there. And how many times this year have we seen this? Greg Biffle dominant and ends up with a huge problem.
Second caution of the day comes out at lap 83 for Greg Biffle, who was very dominant early, and now it looks like his race is done. Remember, Biffle came in here last year second in the Nextel Cup points. He comes in here 18th and will likely leave here out of the top 20.
Just remember this race, the fall race here last year. What a terrible day he had here then. He spun out a couple of times, had a lug nut problem. Probably cost him a championship. And you can see all these folks here are very upset, Doug. And
his girlfriend, Nicole.
Nicole, they're all just very upset. I can take a look here and see if we can see what happened.
Right in the middle of your screen. Here it comes.
Ooh, he got turned on the straightaway.
Yes, he did. Ooh.
That was Kurt Busch and the 2-car behind him.
I believe Kurt Busch may have lifted him up. Just what we were talking about on the pit road entrance there a minute ago with Kentz's car. These noses just fit right up under the back of the bumper of the car in front of you.
From David Stremme. I think that was Dave Blaney that brushed the wall. Folks, we're going to make pit stops. How about you grab that volume knob and crank it up for us? Cacophony of air wrenches and squealing tires, and it's pretty obvious that Kurt Busch got in the back of somebody, and that somebody is Greg Biffle, who is okay, but his car is junk.
I think that picture right there pretty much told the tale right there, but on that caution looks like about all of our lead lap cars, about 22 or 23 of them hit pit road.
There's no words. That you don't have to explain that one. That's one of those things that you cannot do on a super speedway, run these speeds. It's a form of, or kind of like, well, the only excuse I could make there is Biffle was down and he moved up in front of him, and Kurt probably should have been on his toes a little bit better and been ready for that, anticipated that.
I like you're saying, no give and take there.
No, that was definitely a time when you should have given.
Jeff Burton last week, Greg Biffle this week. Kurt Busch is making few friends.
Here with Casey Kane leading after 85 laps. Moments ago, Greg Biffle, who won the race last year. Your opinion, Jeff Hammond, in terms of Kurt Busch not pulling up, nudging, causing...
Next question.
Your Honor, guilty.
I'm telling you right now, it was very close in there, but I have to agree with Daryl and Larry in their assessment. It was a give and take situation, and they should have given a little bit more than what they did.
A closer look here. This is the girlfriend, Nicole, of Greg Biffle, talking to Eva.
Yeah, this is Eva Braun right there. That's Kurt's fiance, and this is Greg Biffle's girlfriend right there. And it looks to me like she was really upset. And I mean, it's really bad news right there. You can see right there clearly that Kurt got in the back of Greg and around he went. And Eva Bryant, I mean, again, she's pretty much sitting up there doing her thing, just kind of watching her man race, and along comes Nicole. And
well, and it's not just a matter of somebody winning a race. I mean, talking about a safety issue as well. Biffle leading the most laps today at 49. Kurt Busch, who won the Busch race here yesterday.
It's a hard lick right there for Greg Biffle too.
So Casey Kane, your leader, as they repair the safer barrier. And some damage to Kurt Busch's car. Let's check on the pit stops.
I was just trying to get out of the way. I'm a lap car.
Steve Burns standing by. Steve?
And thanks a lot, Chris. Just to give you an update on the cars that were running 1, 2, 3 when the caution came out. Casey Kane was a little bit tight. They made an adjustment to him. Denny Hamlin, same thing, a wedge adjustment. And Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car. His crew chief, Kevin Mannion, telling him, be patient, save your equipment till the end.
Well, Steve, just another day at the office for the 20 car of Tony Stewart out for another nice Sunday drive, tracking everybody down. The car is actually tied in the center, loose exit, so they made a track bar adjustment when he just came in, but he's pretty appreciative of what's going on right now because he forgot to get water on that last stop. So they made sure they got a jug of water over to him as the cars were coming down pit road. Matt?
Jeff Gordon's team continues to make gains on the 24 car now. 2 stops ago, they pushed in 2 spring rubbers in the right rear spring. On the last stop, took their time, made more adjustments, also pushed in now what is now a 3rd spring rubber. They are making big headway. Gordon said the car feels so much better when he's out in cleaner air. He got the lucky dog. Things are starting to turn around. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt Jr., a wedge and air pressure adjustment. His car is still tight and loose. And J.J. Yaley trying to score his first Nextel Cup Series victory in the 18 car. Still, the car a tick on the tight side, another tweak with air pressure. Dick?
Greg Biffle, and we're going to try to show you the video of what just happened. Greg, take a look and tell us. Just watch your words.
Yeah, I know exactly what happened. I was driving the car. You know, Kurt had a little bit of a run. I was trying to get by the lap car, and I moved up in front of him, and you know, clearly was in front of him, and he didn't want to let off the gas, just run into the back of me and just turn me into the fence, you know. He needed to check out of the throttle a little bit. That's the way, you know, give and taking out there, but he didn't want to do it, you know, didn't want to give and take. And, you know, if he doesn't want to give and take on the racetrack, I won't give and take on the racetrack. But, you know, I could have got an opportunity to probably do that to him yesterday, and felt like that wasn't the thing to do. And just hate for all the guys in the Subway car, you know, get taken out of this race. We had a really good car, and we'd like to get up there and race with Casey, but we'll just have to wait for Phoenix.
Well, we're glad you're all right. That's most important. Steve?
Dick, when the cars came to a stop, we did hear Kurt Busch on the radio talking to his crew and crew chief Roy McCauley. Kurt Busch says, I have no idea what happened to the 16. He said it actually looked like he had dropped a cylinder. He slowed down.
So the red flag officially out. We're 86 laps in. Casey Kane, pole sitter, the leader. Greg Biffle, interesting to say, Kurt Busch not wanting to give and take, and if he won't give and take, I won't give and take with Kurt. Hopefully you'll stay with us from Texas. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. This is Longhorns, college football's BCS champ, Mac Brown, the honorary starter. Fox proud to be the home of the BCS, starting in January from the Mac Daddy to the Granddaddy. Mark Martin on the very first lap, passing the pole sitter, Casey Kane. Martin led 11 laps. Greg Biffle, 6th race that he's led this season, overtaking Martin for the lead and was cruising. Kurt Busch running in the top 10. Jeff has some problems in the pits that it cost him.
Yeah, Jack stopped, brakes. Car falls down off of Jack's, did damage to the car. They were able to go ahead and change the tires, but he did lose a lap in the process.
Then on lap 82, that's why we're under the red flag, the caution. That's Busch on the tail of Greg Biffle. You've heard from both of the drivers. Jeff, your assessment?
Well, again, from this point of view right here, it looked like it was something that was avoidable, Chris. The main thing there is he could have gave a little bit. In this incident, it may not have happened with Greg Biffle.
Meanwhile, Biffle leading 49 laps, 20 laps for Casey Kane led so far. He'll celebrate his 26th birthday on Monday. We'll see if he celebrates with a win under the red flag here. Well, they're repairing the safer barrier here. How much longer do you think this will take? You have any idea?
It shouldn't take very long at all. I mean, NASCAR's been working very diligently to be able to make effective repairs very quickly, and what they have done is actually just rip that metal sheeting on the outside of the impact material that allows the wall to give a little bit. So they're putting repair patches on top of that steel barrier. Shouldn't take very long. You see the welder working there along with that crew. Once he gets that in place, we should be able to go back racing pretty quickly.
Darrell Waltrip talked about coming from the short tracks here that we thought the aggressiveness would ease up a little bit, but Kurt Busch has had, as Mike pointed out too, during the course of this year, running with a few different drivers.
He definitely has had that for sure, and I think that's the key thing. We take a look at a lot of the crews right now sitting there patiently waiting, but the key thing right now for him is he doesn't need to make any enemies, and this is not the right place to be not giving and taking. You're going entirely too fast to be getting into one another, especially down these straightaways.
This has been a Visa race break. No matter what it takes, life takes Visa. Let's head back upstairs. Mike Joy taking a moment to remember someone special to the motorsports world. Mike?
Thanks, Chris. In 1970, Jack Arute bought the Stafford, Connecticut Fairgrounds and Speedway. He had 3 goals: improve the image of short track racing, control racing costs, and give the fans a great show. Jack and his sons made Stafford a showplace with landscaping, paved pits, showbiz, and skyboxes. To attract young fans, get rid of the coupe bodies and bring in late model bodies. NASCAR said no, so Arute staged the Pinto Revolution and changed the sport forever. Jack Arute passed away Monday at age 78. No one ever cared more or did more for NASCAR's modifieds. was not open, but he'll have to start tail into the line anyway as the free pass car. But Matt, he pitted early. Why?
Well, Mike, I told you earlier that they've pushed in 3 different spring rubbers over the past few stops. Now, they wanted to take this chance as they're heading in the right direction just to make sure one of the 3 spring rubbers did not fall out. He hit pit road. They took the lugs off the right rear, took the wheel off, took a look, and they are good to go.
But that was a great move by Steve Letarte. He knew he was going to have to start at the tail end of the longest line anyhow because of the free pass, and that lap there gave them some extra time to work on the car as the cars were getting up to speed under the pace laps here.
Pit road is open. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Clint Boyer come in along with Travis Kvapil and Jeff Green. Kurt Busch with damage to the front end of his car from contact with Biffle. Steve?
And Mike, there's some real concern down here in their pits. Because of that contact, they've been on pit road twice to work on the grill. They're concerned about a problem with the radiator and, of course, possible overheating.
And the good thing about that Charger nose is most of the cooling inlets are down low. You can see them. He went behind, of course, the 22 car, but they're down low. But like Steve pointed out, we talked about it at the top of the show, this car is not going to be very good aerodynamically right now. And then you have that plenum, that box that directs the air to the radiator, it probably has some damage as well.
We're going to sit here and watch and listen and let you folks grab that volume knob and just give it a good turn.
We'll let you know when we're coming back.
Yeah.
You know what to do.
Crank it up. Tony Stewart hunting the lead. Gets past Casey Kane for second. Now his teammate, rookie Denny Hamlin, tries to pick up 5 bonus points. And Stewart closes in.
Say it was pretty inevitable based on the way he's come through the field that he would get to the lead.
Right now, those Gibbs cars we've been talking about in this whole race based on practice yesterday. Right now, first, second, and fifth. J.J. Yaley in the 18 car back in fifth.
Yeah, Yaley did not get a good restart. On the opening start of the race, he was outside pole, and he didn't take off with the same speed of Casey Kane either. So for some reason, that car didn't quite come up to speed. Lead change, Stewart.
Yeah, 9 seems to be that way. A little slow on these restarts. Gets going after 2 or 3 laps. Tony to the lead.
But Tony Stewart, who has no wins here at Texas except for the IROC race Friday night, Jeannie, in 92 laps from 40th to 1st.
Absolutely, and interestingly enough, he had come on the radio while we were hanging out to get back on the track saying, you know, this car is really slow on the restart. So, kids, what we're seeing now, I guess, is slow. He'll really step it up here in a little bit. Yikes.
Well, these guys, a bunch of them have a real problem, Larry, and we talked about it over and over again about the bumps down in turns 1 and 2. Particularly on these restarts, got a little build-up on the tire. Look at that 5 car. Hit that bump, back in, pops up in the air, and away she goes.
Kyle Busch, and what that bump is, that's where the infield tunnel is under the racetrack.
Log jam here. You see the 48-point leader, Jimmy Johnson, who went a lap down early, but he's recovered. He's 17th right now on the lead lap.
Now, this is an interesting scenario up at the front there with Tony and the 21. Remember back to Bristol when Kenny Schrader in the 21 car got a lap down, and I mean, he ran with the leaders and worked and worked and worked and worked. Didn't quite get that lap back.
We've seen Kenny in this configuration a lot this year. It's like it takes them to the first stop to get their car where it can be competitive.
Now, Denny Hamlin had the lead. Stewart came up, didn't just take it away. Hamlin had himself a moment here in the 11th.
Whoa, he just drove it. You know, two things happen. He's looking back to see where Tony is, and when he looks up, he says, whoops, drove her in a little too hard.
And you're entering this corner right here at over 190 miles per hour, and it's very line sensitive how you turn that thing off into the corner right there.
But just like before, that red car on the outside, no, that's Kenny Schrader. I was thinking that was the 9. They look a lot alike. That 9 car gets going after a few laps.
Time for our next singular virtual crew chief question. Do you believe that Tony Stewart can go for 2 in a row? Winner last week in Martinsville. Text the word crew to 191 on your Singular wireless phone, or log on to foxsports.com/singular.
The way he's been running, he can go for a lot in a row.
You know, a car we talked about earlier, Kevin Harvick in this 29 car started back in the 24th position, had a great run yesterday in the Busch race. Kevin has moved up into the top 5 in the 5th position, but I'm going to tell you, another car, one of our rookies, Martin Truex Jr. in that 1 car, he just drove by our pole sitter, Casey Kane, in 9 car. You saw Casey do the same thing in that high groove. Car just walked up the racetrack. He loses another position.
We got 4 rookies in the top 11.
Wow. Jeannie?
Well, the 29 of Kevin Harvick in response to the recent get-together on the track between the 2 and the 16.
The 9.
No patience is what he said. Kevin Harvick has had a lot of patience today. He said the 3 fastest cars on the track were the 16, the 9, and then, of course, himself, the 29. 1 target left for now. He said the car is running great, Steve.
Well, Jeannie, Casey Kane said a moment ago his car is looser in and looser off. Now he's just saying it wants to come around to the right front.
Yeah, Steve, it just, I mean, it literally, I hollered 9. I think there may be a problem because the car just jumped really bad sideways off of 2 over there the lap before.
And it showed on his lap time, Darrell, he was 1.3 seconds slower than Stewart on that lap he had to chase it up the hill.
Yeah, he's having to catch the car and his breath right now because that thing was almost out of here.
You see he's losing time at every corner on our Fox tracks. Tough sledding right now for our pole sitter.
Darrell, you talked about our rookies. Another rookie that's been there all day long, started on the outside of the front row, J.J. Yaley in that 18 car. And Matt, Steve Addington, that group, they're keeping their man up in the top 5.
Very pleased with this impressive run, Larry Mack. In fact, under that red flag, the Gibbs drivers were all talking together. Tony Stewart had flipped over to JJ's radio frequency and was telling him that he was going to let the 11 of Hamlin go to lead a lap and get 5 bonus points, wasn't going to push it. JJ said his car was still a little snug. Tony said, look, one thing that I've learned, especially here at Texas, take care of your tires. Go easier on the front end of a run. Your car will be so much better at the end. And JJ said, look, I've already got my 5 bonus points. I just want to ride and get a nice top 5 finish and see what we can do at the end. He just cannot run the high line like some other drivers.
There's Kevin Harvick tracking Martin Truex. Jeannie has a message to pass along, we understand, from Harvick.
Absolutely. You know, it's interesting. Pit crews can do a variety of things for their drivers during the race, and apparently they can also work as messengers. Hey, DW, I'm supposed to tell you from Mr. Harvick, who has his hands full right now, in a good way, this thing is eating asphalt, DW.
And I'm going to tell you what, this race team, talking about Kevin Harvick, the 29 team, Todd Berry, they've come to life here lately. 2 consecutive top 10 finishes. Finished 7th at Martinsville and, of course, 2nd at Bristol 2 weeks ago. You
know, we're going to have a talk with Mr. Harvick. I remember an all-star weekend, a Winston Open, when Buddy Baker did onboard commentary for the live TV telecast. I think Harvick could be a natural for that.
Well,
during the green flag, let him go.
People always ask me, say, why are you always picking on Harvick? Because he picks on me.
I think we could work that out.
I like that. I'd love to have a little conversation with him while he's trolling along, eating asphalt.
I'm going to tell you what, one of the most enlightening stories to me of 2006 is that black car right there, Robbie Gordon in the 7 car, started back in the 29th position. Remember what a great run he had at Atlanta last month with this very same car. Now Robbie has bumped into the top 10, and he's closing in on Mark Martin in that 6 car. Great run again for Robbie Gordon.
Talked to him about that very thing. He said, I got the same car. He was so excited about how he run at Atlanta. I said, dude, drive the same kind of race here. Be smart, save something for the end. I think he listened.
Casey Kane loses another spot, this time 7th place to the DeWalt Ford, the Carhartt car, Matt Kenseth.
I think the wheels are coming off that 9 car. I mean, he just got his hands full right now.
And just to update our fans on Matt Kenseth in the 17 car, had a great starting position in the 6th position, but had to go to the rear of the field because of an engine change, and he has moved in the top 10 following his teammate Carl Edwards in the 99, and Carl has came from the rear as well, started back in the 37th position. And remember, both of those guys, they've won here at Texas before. Carl won the last race back in the fall of last year.
As has driver number 6, Mark Martin. All 3 of those Roush drivers have been to victory lane here, as has Biffle, who is now out of the race.
And Carl Edwards pulls the inside of Dale Jarrett in the UPS Ford here. Dale in the 88 car 1 lap down back in the 26th position.
Has anybody up in the top 5 or 6? Well, in about the top, 6?
Carl
won a
Edwards.
race here before?
Carl Edwards in 6th place, prior winner.
Top 5, nobody has.
Nobody in the top 5 has.
Well, you know, in the Talladega 500, we went 13 races with 13 faces till you became the first repeat winner.
Yeah, made them mad.
Nashville Busch Series Racing, Saturday, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. You'll see it on FX. And Reed Sorensen, your winner last year. Of course, today, Palm Sunday. The Cup drivers off next Sunday for Easter. Jeff Hammond got a couple of rookies in the top 5. But how about Stewart, who started from way back, and also Kevin Harvick, who has just moved up to 3rd, starting back and weaved their way through the pack.
I think they understand the balance of what this racetrack needs as far as their cars are concerned. Greg Zipadelli, the crew chief on the 20 car, along with Tony, they changed a lot of stuff during practices on Friday as well as Saturday to get this car the way Tony wanted it. And right now he's been able to drive it at will, whether it's on the high side or the low side. It doesn't make any difference to him. Right now he's right down on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to stay below those bumps and not let him upset his race car, making us look really easy at this almost midpoint of the race.
Tony trying to win back-to-back races for the 6th time in his career.
One other thing I want to point out right now, Martin Truex Jr., a rookie you were mentioning, he is having a really strong run. But interestingly enough, to talk to Tony Eury Jr., who's the crew chief on Dale Earnhardt's car, and they are running 2 different setups today. They elected to go with a little softer setup in this one car, while Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to run the same setup that he actually tire tested with out here earlier this year with Goodyear, feeling that it was a more consistent setup. But right now, Martin Truex Jr. is definitely the class of the field as far as DEI is concerned.
And you can see where the rookies are running. And, of course, Denny Hamlin currently running 2nd in this race right behind Tony Stewart. Reed Sorensen, we mentioned moments ago. You've got a group of Roush cars at 6, 7, and 8 with Edwards, Kenseth, and Martin. And Carl Edwards, another guy who started back of the pack.
They're all lurking, as I like to say. Long ways to go, Chris.
Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
When Bobby Labonte left Joe Gibbs Racing, there's smoke from Kurt Busch. When Bobby Labonte left at the end of last season, a lot of people questioned J.D. Gibbs and team manager Jimmy Makar for naming 2 rookies to the seats of 2 very good cars, Denny Hamlin and J.J. Yaley. There was a lot of questioning going on. Now everybody's running around saying how smart they were.
Well, and the good thing about Denny Hamlin in the 11 car, they put him in that 11 car without naming him the full-time driver for 2006. They got their feet wet with him. They had a list of drivers that they were looking at putting in that 18 car.
Come on at this time.
And we're hearing that Kurt Busch in the 2 car has been black flagged. He just went a second lap down, and I'm sure it's because he's starting to smoke very much.
Nice and easy.
Probably some fluid. We've already had concern maybe radiator or oil cooler busted on the front of that car. But just to finish off the 18 story, like you said, they had a list of drivers they were going through, and that's when Tony walked in and said, what's wrong with you guys? You've got the boy in this camp. You need to put in that race car. J.J. Yaley, and here he is.
Well, Tony knew Yaley from open wheel racing, knew his dad Jack, a longtime sprint car and midget driver from Phoenix.
He's going to know Carl Edwards here in a second.
Yeah.
Carl Edwards in that 99 car has moved to the high side. He's been doing it at both ends, and he's been making a lot of ground. In fact, he has one of the fastest race cars out on the track right now, even including our leader, Tony Stewart.
Well, you think about Carl, where does he like to run? He likes to rim ride. Did it at Atlanta. He does it all these mile-and-a-half racetracks. he's got it dialed in. He's coming to the front.
In a very brief Nextel Cup career, nice wave to Yaley for giving him some room on the high side and letting him go.
Give and take. Thank you, buddy. I'll pay you back later.
Edwards has really become an expert at finding where the car runs best at any given time during a race.
Put a period on the Kurt Busch story. The two, Steve Burns is telling us that they had a fender rub. They had to yank the fender off the car, so he's going to go another lap down. In fact, he's 41st right now, 3 laps down.
Stewart moving past Kevin LePage. And let's pay off our singular virtual crew chief question on Tony Stewart. Will Stewart do the twofer? 60-40, same margin as before. Say no.
Well, I think everyone knows we've got over 200 laps to go in this race. Who would have bet against Greg Biffle in those first 50 or 75 laps?
Riding with Jeff Burton in the singular Chevy. That's Bobby Labonte just ahead, 12th place and 13th.
And I think the biggest thing that haunts teams here at Texas, Jeff Hammond talked about it in the pre-race show, is that hanging RPM. Just listen. Let's listen to Jeff Burton as he goes down in the 3 and 4. You'll hear he's not off the throttle almost at all. And you do that for 500 miles. I mean, Casey Kane in the 9 car had the car to beat in both races last year, had engine problems in both races.
Darrell, here's 2 drivers in need of a rebound. Bobby Labonte had rear-end gear last week, engine trouble the week before. Jeff Burton got dumped last week. It may have been accidental, but his car still ended up in a wad.
Well, the thing about it is when you come to a place and you've got a pretty good race car, those guys are smart. They'll sit out there. They need a good finish. They're probably not thinking win. They're thinking finished points. They got to get themselves back up in the points, particularly the 43 car who was flirting with that top 35 there for a while.
Left of your screen, the fastest car on the racetrack this lap was that 99, the Office Depot Ford of Carl Edwards, now making the move on Truex for 4th.
Well, I tell you, you can't. I just don't think we say enough about the run Truex is having. You think about Bristol. He got himself in trouble there at Bristol with Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart, and he didn't have much of a good. His Martinsville race was bad, so to come in here today, rebound the way he has, I think that's a pretty cool deal right there.
Yours.
Steve?
Thanks, Mike. You know, Darrell, the amazing thing, they have made absolutely no adjustments to that #1 car, Martin Truex Jr., except to put a new set of tires on there. They're going to stop at about lap 134, so in about 8 or 9 laps. The only thing they're talking about now is perhaps a quarter pound out of the left rear tire just to help Truex Jr. on his exits of the corner. Matt Yocum.
And Steve, the car right in front of the 99 of Carl Edwards, and Larry Mack has well documented and put a period several times on how this team has really tried to rebound from their slow start this season. Worked his way up through. They made a track bar adjustment, went too far, so they had to back that up on the last stop. But this car has really come to life.
And I think what makes the Martin Truex Jr. story even more special is the fact this has not been uneventful for them this weekend. They slapped the wall with the right side pretty hard in Friday's practice, barely got it back together for qualifying, didn't put those decals on the right side till actually this morning. So they've had their work cut out for them.
Third car out of the race will be Kurt Busch. They pushed him behind the wall to try to make repairs. They've not retired that car, but he'll go many laps down as they try to fix it.
Yeah, probably a radiator. I mean, we've been talking about that ever since the incident with Biffle over there, so it looks like they're going to have to do something to it.
Jeff Green ran the early laps of this race in 2nd place, and you see the Best Buy car on the left of your screen, and Big Orange approaching. Tony Stewart alongside is that Nemechek.
Yep, the 01 car, the Army car. Yeah, Jeff Green in the 66, of course, he qualified in the 4th position. They made an extra pit stop on that last caution, got behind, and they're losing ground now with the 66 car.
The defending Nextel Cup champion, Tony Stewart, has led every race this year. He's trying for his 2nd win in a row. There's the Lowe's Chevy and our point standing leader.
See if we can tell anything about his car there. He's looks pretty comfortable. It looks like it's tight. I mean, you can see he's got quite a bit. Whoa, that wasn't a good move. When you see the wheel go back to the right, that's not a good thing.
And right now he's in the 17th position, battling with his teammate Kyle Busch in the 5. Earlier in the race, he went a lap down, got back on the lead lap by pitting early, but right now he's only about 7 or 8 seconds from going another lap down to Tony Stewart.
But all those guys are running together, the 48, the 5, and the 24, so whatever they got, they all got it.
And to learn more about FanView, go to foxsports.com/NextelFanView.
Now, guys, what's interesting is we're within about 10 laps of another green flag pit stop, and we saw what kind of confusion we had last time we went through green flag stops. But here in about the next 5 or 6 laps, I think you'll see some of these guys starting to hit pit road, especially if they're on the verge of going a lap down to the leader right now, like we saw Jimmy Johnson do earlier.
And early in this race, Jeff Gordon was on the verge of going a lap down. In fact, he did go a lap down and then get the free pass on the most recent caution. He is just barely a top 20 car today. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 1 spot behind Gordon in 21st.
You know, I was looking at our scoring monitor a while ago. Right now, Chevrolets occupy 4 of the top 5 spots. The last time a Chevrolet won here was Dale Earnhardt Jr. in his rookie season back in 2000. It's been a Ford type of a racetrack, but right now Chevrolet's saturating the top 5.
But Matt, Dale Jr. right now only lacks 5 seconds from going a lap down.
But the car is making improvements, Mike, as you can see him work on the outside around the 24 of Gordon. Junior's been using the Richard Petty line way up by the wall. He asked his team, how am I on the stopwatch? And Steve Meal, his spotter, said, you picked up about 1/10.5 of what you were running earlier. So just keep doing what you're doing until our pit stop. We'll work on that tight condition. He says the car is just plowing terribly.
Let's show you the distance back from Junior to the leader. Jeff Gordon is still on the lead lap, 24, and so is the 4 of Scott Wimmer. They're down on the bottom of the track. And here comes Tony.
And Darrell, you've talked about this before. Even though Tony's over in turn 2, what a driver likes to hear, that's his reference point, is when that leader crosses the start-finish line, crew chief or spotter say, leader at the line now. That gives you that reference where he's at.
Right. Here comes Junior, and so he's at the line now. Now he goes by, and the spotter's going to tell him, here comes Tony. He's at the line now. And that's a whole lot. The driver doesn't understand 2 seconds, 5 seconds. He understands position on the racetrack.
Kevin Harvick trying to get position on Denny Hamlin. This is for 2nd place.
He's going to eat up some more asphalt, looks like.
So he'll take the 2nd spot away from Denny Hamlin. But
how about the old rookie? I mean, he's running pretty good today.
And Darrell, across the board, we've been talking about this all year long. All 3 of the RCR cars, including rookie Clint Boyer in 07, all of them in the top 20 here, 142 laps into this race.
Denny Hamlin now in 3rd, about 0.3 of a second off the leader's lap times, but the leading rookie in the race by 2 positions.
Denny Hamlin. Hi, I'm Denny Hamlin from Chesterfield, Virginia, driver of the FedEx Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS. This is my first full season in Nextel Cup, and I'm going for Rookie of the Year. I am a huge Redskins fan. When I was 11 years old, I once stood in line for 3.5 hours waiting to get Joe Gibbs' autograph. Now he's my boss. Joe Gibbs is a great guy to work for. He knows to put people in the right positions, and I'm lucky to be part of his elite group of players. I used to be a big-time bowler. I once had a perfect game till the 9th frame. In Huntersville, North Carolina, there's a Reuben sandwich named after me. If I win a race, I become a filet.
Hamlin now 4th as Carl Edwards went by. The other rookies in the top 10, Martin Truex 5th and J.J. Yeley 7th. Pit stops begin.
And remember, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car, he was one of the first cars to hit pit road earlier. Steve Burns.
And they're back against a clean windshield. And again, they've been fighting a tight race car actually since happy hour practice yesterday morning. They were good their first practice, but just been a struggle here today.
If that tire doesn't stop rolling, we're going to have a caution. That would be bad news for Johnson. It was not his tire. It came from the 74, Derek Cope, and it's okay.
Here's what I think NASCAR will do. I still do not think that tire and wheel is in a good place. I think they will work to try to cycle it through these green flag pit stops where that tire does not burn someone. There's the caution. They did not let it cycle. There it is.
somebody's bad luck becomes Jimmy Johnson's worse luck. Because he pitted under green, he will now go a lap down as the third caution of the day comes out at lap 147 for a tire off of Derek Cope's car.
There's a car crash somewhere.
Now the 26 of Jamie McMurray made a stop, but he got out and stayed on the lead lap, we're told. And worse, they can't get Cope's car restarted. Tony's having a little fun here. Brett Bodine, former competitor, former winner in the Nextel Cup Series, drives the pace car truck.
Well, he's been able, we've watched him do this a lot, and he's been able to do it a lot because, I mean, the man has led more laps than anyone, and as he talked about in the pre-race, he's led at least one lap in all 7 races, including here today.
You know, he's got more Earnhardt tricks today than, you know, I mean, here he is giving the pace car a little bit of bump, doing this and that, looking a lot like the 7-time champion.
Enjoying himself.
That's it.
And it comes out in everything he's doing.
That's it.
Well, pit road will be very busy because, as we mentioned, we were then just about 3 or 4 laps, I think, of all of our leaders hitting pit road, and here they all come. Pretty much all 19 cars, Jeannie.
And we'll start with 20. How about that? Tony Stewart saying the car's gotten snug now. They're going to try to free it up in the center. Just a little bit, Tony caution. Just small adjustments now. Air pressure adjustments to that right front tire. Matt?
The 99 of Carl Edwards at the bottom left of your screen already in. Now they were going to make no changes on this stop, but then they decided to make a small air pressure change on the left side to Steve Burns.
Matt, no changes for Martin Truex Jr. in your bottom right-hand box. Carl Edwards leaves pit road, as does Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart. The 11 of Danny Hamlin off pit road. Small air pressure adjustment, just a half out of the left front tire. Said his car was getting a little bit tight at the end of that run.
I'm going to tell you what, that group right there, Denny Hamlin, 3 spots gained on pit road. See that his teammate there, Tony Stewart, losing 4 spots. Now, this is the time on pit road, including a stop. Denny Hamlin in 11, his teammate J.J. Yaley in that 18 car. Those were the real winners, including Jeff Burton in the 31 car.
Right, Burton also picked up 3 positions on pit road. Nice job by his crew. 147 laps complete in Texas. Caution flag out for the 3rd time today.
That's a good feeling there, boys.
Race, just go to foxsports.com, keyword UPS. Getting set for the restart, 150 laps complete. Denny Hamlin, your leader. Robbie Gordon out front on the tail end of the lead lap.
As well as Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car, both fighting to get back on the lead lap.
Gordon drives away. Robbie, that is. Wow, 3 wide. Getting into turn 3.
Stewart back in the 5th position as far as the race.
Sterling's caught right up in the middle of all that, can't get out of the way.
Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car boxed in back there, as well as J.J. Yaley in the 18, running in 6 and 7. Riding with Casey Kane here in the 9 car, our Bud Pole sitter in the 8th position right now.
3 wide as they split Jamie McMurray in the 26.
Boy, I tell you what, if you're not up to speed, you better get out of the way, baby, or you can get run over.
Where are you going to go? It's hard to get out of the way here on these restarts.
Might want to think about coming in, making an unscheduled stop, and regroup.
I tell you what, a car they better be watching closely. We've been following this entire race. Started back in the last position because of an engine change. Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. He just ran his fastest lap of the race at 29.93. He's up to the 3rd position with his 17 car. And closing.
The thing about Matt is he doesn't do anything spectacular. Kind of just quietly works his way up there.
Denny Hamlin's got company. Carl Edwards is right there, and he just ran his fastest lap of the race.
Back.
And Carl Edwards started back in the 37th position.
No Texas winner has started on the front row. Winners have come from as far back as 31st when Matt Kenseth won here 4 years ago.
And other than Denny Hamlin, of our top 5, the best one anyone started today's race was Kevin Harvick in the 24th position. Remember, Tony Stewart in the 20, he qualified back in the 40th, and Matt Kenseth just drove by his teammate for the 2nd position.
Matt?
Kenseth, who's led the most NASCAR laps here at Texas, moving his way toward the front here. Checking out a little bit from the guys behind his teammate and the 20 of Stewart. Now, they made a small tweak here and there on the last stop, but he said the car before that last stop, Larry Mack, was really cutting a lot better, turning more to his liking in the center of the corner. It was still a little free on exit, so they made a track bar adjustment, went down 1 round to try to correct that.
Reed Sorensen comes into the picture on the right of your screen in that Target Dodge, and he's been kind of lurking right at the end of the top 10 all day long.
Yeah, he's been 10th or 11th, and got a fast car. He's been doing a good job. I like that little guy.
He drew NASCAR's ire yesterday when a piece of roll bar padding flew out from the cockpit of his car during the Busch race, and no caution came out for that, but he did draw a penalty.
That's what I love about NASCAR racing. 156 laps into this race. Look at our top 4 right there. They're within less than a half a second of each other.
Yeah, I expect that Reed and his crew chief probably got a lecture after the race yesterday about roll bar padding flying out of your race car.
Funny story about that. His crew chief yesterday, Brian Patty, said, I'm going in there with you, but I'm not saying a thing.
No, he's already been on probation once.
Jamie McMurray's had a tough weekend in Texas. Didn't qualify well. The car was backing up on this restart, and he's just made a green flag pit stop as Matt Kenseth gets right up to the bumper of Denny Hamlin for the lead heading for turn 1. Interesting to watch Kenseth come through the pack, but he doesn't provoke a lot of jump out of your seat excitement. He's a very patient driver, times his moves, picks his spots.
Very methodical.
Like that one.
Yeah. And that was last to first.
Took him 159 laps, but he's up there now.
7th place. Casey Kane lapping past his teammate. And we have debris in turn 4.
Ooh, that's good news for Robbie Gordon and
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson.
48.
Yeah.
They will be back on the lead lap.
4th caution of the day at lap 160.
And because those guys were out in front of our leader, Matt Kenseth, in the 17, that'll be great news for Ryan Newman in the 12. He'll get the free pass.
NASCAR had been watching that piece of debris for a while. They don't have quite the long lenses NASCAR on Fox does. We can see it's a spring rubber, but from this vantage point, it could have been a piece of metal.
Just looks like rubber to me.
Help me here, will you?
I'm working. I'm trying, baby.
Look, you don't have to work with us. Just don't work against us.
Well, that bump that Matt Kenseth gave coming onto pit road, lifting who was it, Scott Riggs up off the ground, that has not hurt the aero on his car one little bit as his crew chief Robbie Reiser looks on.
Sometimes those self-inflicted adjustments work to your favor. It's like back to Dale Jr. last week when he lost the right front fender. It actually turned out to help him.
That's right.
I would say we've been out there about a good 13 laps. We're probably going to see a very busy pit road here.
Our DLP camera has a look at the cars entering pit road. Jeannie.
With the 20 car of Tony Stewart, still a little bit tight in the center. He's not sure if the earlier air pressure adjustments is actually helping him yet. It may help him down the road, but he's worried about right now. So he said, put that air back in. That was the right front. They're going to make air pressure adjustments to the rear tires. Matt?
The 17 of Kenseth hit pit road in first. His teammate Carl Edwards took on right side tires only. He's already away. Kenseth's going for 4. Almost stalls it. He is finally away. Steve.
Matt, Denny Hamlin said his car was getting tight, so they made air pressure adjustments, half pound in the right rear, half-pound out of the left rear. So his car is tight on exit.
There you see Carl Edwards gained 2 positions, but I've got to believe Kyle Busch in that 5 car, they probably went with 2 tires only, as well as Mark Martin. When you gain 11 positions, normally it's because you did less work on pit road than the other crews.
So we worked the 4th caution flag of the day in Texas. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. Getting ready to restart. Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth. Fox Tracks is in. You see Mark Martin 4th, Denny Hamlin 5th. Then it's Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, Truex, Yaley, Kane, and Burton, the top 10, with 22 cars on the lead lap.
And we're pretty sure that the 2nd place car, Kyle Busch in the 5, Mark Martin, the number 6 in the 4th place, did 2 right side tires. Only 10 laps on those tires. Probably not a bad time to try that. You see the pace car brought them down to about 45, 50 miles per hour. They build up immediately before they get to the start-finish line.
You mentioned a name there that I hadn't heard recently. Burton.
Yeah, Jeff Burton has fought his way back.
He's up there in 11th place.
Back into the knocking on the door of the top 10.
Back in the fray.
4 wide. My goodness.
Boy, Mark Truex
Still outside the 20.
car, got a run on that high side, got him about 4 cars in 1 whack. We need to mention our points leader coming into this race, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car. He was 2 laps down because of a green flag stop. A while ago, he only got 1 of those back, so he's 1 lap down. We're riding here with him here. He's back in the 27th position, 1 lap down.
Bobby Labonte trying to go by on the outside. Reed Sorensen just ahead. Matt Kenseth's got a run on Carl Edwards. Kenseth has already led once today for 3 laps.
Boy, I see some guys really, you talk about give and take. There's a group of guys in there right about where Burton is. If there wasn't some giving and taking, there'd be some wrecking going on right now. Reed Sorensen and Bobby Labonte and Burton, that whole crowd right there, this crowd right here.
Joe Nemechek in the Army car. This is a backup car. He crashed in qualifying. We got a battle for the lead, boys, here at lap 167. Matt Kenseth in the 17. He'll lead that lap and take the lead.
That is the halfway sign in this race. And it goes under Matt Kenseth. Matt?
2 tires for the 99. His car was loose. That should help tighten him up. Just not enough car at the moment for his teammate, the 17 of Kenseth. In fact, Matt came on the radio before the restart and said, Robbie, to his crew chief, Robbie Roger, you would not believe how different this car is going from 7th to 3rd to 2nd. The car is so much looser the more clean air you get in.
See the 2 Gordons right there. Jeff Gordon in the 24, Robbie Gordon in the 7. Both these cars back on the lead lap battling for 15th.
But that 24 car is awful. I mean, he's just backing up through the field. You see there, they're just driving around him left and right. Saw him go wide, 3 wide there a second ago on the inside-outside.
Matt Yoakum made the point earlier in the show that they felt like this was going to be the race that told about where the 24 car stands. Now we've got the battle for 3rd right here. Denny Hamlin in the 11 car, 4 fresh tires, drives by Kyle Busch in the 5, as well as Kevin Harvick in the 29 will go by as well. Looks like 2 tires not the way to go.
No, that's going to be a temporary benefit. Whoa, Busch a little loose there. He gets a wave from Kevin Harvick. Thank you for giving me room. And here comes Stewart back up toward the lead.
Patience are prevailing right now, but you know how that goes.
2 tires versus 4 tires. Here's what happens on pit road. Kenseth at the top of your screen, Edwards the bottom. 99's gone. Gas is done on Kenseth, and now he pulls out several seconds later.
Yeah, the 99 won the battle off pit road, but when it comes to 2 versus 4 fresh tires, you see the difference right there, which is gaining up to almost a full second. But just to put that period on the 24 car, Matt Yoakum told the story early in the race. He felt like he'd run good at Bristol. He felt like he'd run good at Martinsville, but they felt like this would be the test if this team has improved from last year. And right now, they, as Darrell pointed out, they're struggling back in 16th.
Watching from Tony Rain's car, the DLP Chevy for Hall of Fame racing. And the star quarterbacks of the Cowboys, Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman, different eras, but similar success in front of their hometown crowd with their new driver, Tony Raines, hoping to do well today.
Inside. Just hold your line. Hold your line. Your line. Still coming.
I tell you what, that is a wad right there.
This group right here is doing everything they can to wreck.
And the 51 of Mike Garvey a bit off the pace. They had to work their way past Garvey.
Robbie Gordon
he
didn't work his way past him. He knocked him out of the way. Robbie Gordon's back on the lead lap, and he's going to take advantage of it, boys. He ain't going to lap down again.
Robbie Gordon back up into the top 15 as Matt Kenseth now leads Hamlin by 3/4 of a second. Similar gap back to Edwards, with Harvick closing in on Edwards for third.
And again, Carl Edwards in the 99 changing just 2 tires. We saw that a while ago. Kevin Harvick in the 29, as well as Tony Stewart back there in that other orange car. Both those guys have 4 fresh tires.
Just ahead of this group, Denny Hamlin, the rookie, having a great run here in second place. Steve.
Mike, this is just his 14th Nextel Cup start. 25 years old, showing a lot of maturity and giving good feedback to crew chief Mike Ford. Before the last pit stop, Mike said, "Tell me about your car." Then he said, "It's a little bit tight." He said, "All right, scale of 1 to 10. He said 5.5. He never hesitated. He knows what he wants in this race car.
And Darrell, I think that's good to get, you know, evaluate in numbers, especially from a rookie driver that you're trying to get to know. How bad is it? Is it a 10? Is it a 1? Is it a 5?
Oh, this is great. This comes from healthcare. The doctor says, "Tell me how your pain is on a scale from 1 to 10," and it's a great scale.
Comes from being married, too. I use it all the time.
Jeff Gordon has fallen to 16th place. He's 11 seconds off the lead pace. Matt?
Mike, earlier in the race when Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's running in the 14th spot, was making a lot of headway. Steve Letarte told Jeff, he says, "Look, the 8 car went up high and picked up almost 2/10. Have you tried that?" And Jeff said, "Yes, I have. My car just does not like it. Way too tight." Now the car is loose, but he still is running on the bottom. The car just not balanced like it needs to be for the 24. Their problems on this 1.5-mile track still continue at this juncture.
Yeah, you know, Manny, I don't know how they can just keep stuffing spring rubbers in that right rear spring and not expect it to get loose.
For the lead, Hamlin. Boy, peel that rookie stripe off that car.
That was almost like a give. Like, I'll go up, you go down, you take the lead a while.
It's okay.
And you know, we've told the story a lot this year about Denny Hamlin, but I think it's a great story. Less than 2 years ago, he was running late models up around Virginia, sitting in the grandstands when the Nextel Cup cars would go to Richmond, Virginia to watch as a fan, and here he is leading this race 178 laps into it.
2 years ago, he was buying tickets. Now he just goes up the office and asks for them for his friends.
I tell you, all that computer game stuff that he plays, very helpful.
And Joe Gibbs had no idea when he signed that football for him, he'd have to pay him as much money as he paid him today.
Victory came here at Texas. Jeff Burton in 97, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2000. We have a long way to go, 149 laps, but so far Hamlin, although a young driver, certainly some experience rubbing off on him.
Well, I think right now what you're looking at is the benefit of having Tony Stewart as a teammate. He is such a mentor to both of these young rookies, especially, you know, guys like J.J. Yaley. They're great relationships, and what they're doing right now is these guys have been able to benefit from that. And I think with as smooth as this young man is and the way he listens, that's the reason why he's out front right now.
Meanwhile, Roush Racing, which has won half of the 10 previous races here, some problems with Jamie McMurray. Let's check in with Dick Berggren.
Well, it's been problems from the get-go. He qualified 41st, was running poorly today. They brought the car into the garage, headed up on the wheel scales. Jamie, what's going on?
I don't know. We unloaded and just struggled from the time we've been here. And, you know, we tried kind of with the 17, the 16, all the other guys are doing. And I brushed the wall a little bit. We thought maybe we knocked something loose. But I don't know. It's just been a really tough weekend for us. And and I told him, I said, I'm getting ready to kill myself. I'm running like a second or 2 seconds off the pace, and I'm getting ready to spin out. So, he brought it in. They put the lasers on the rear end just to make sure everything's lined up, and they're going to put a gear in it. We've already tried a gear, but, you're just, when you have weekends like that, it's hard to find the answer to your problem, and we're having a bad weekend.
Okay, well, they're going to try to go back out again, hopefully with the car in a better position than they're in right now. We should also point out that we were with Kurt Busch in a very long stop in the garage to try to get his side of the story of what happened between himself and Biffle. Busch kept the window net up, which is always the indication that a driver doesn't want to talk, but we did try to get his side of the story.
And I got to tell you, the 26 car, I've been there. I know what that feels like. Be out on the speedway this fast in a car you can't drive. And you've done big crash, 18 down here in turn 4.
J.J. Yaley right between turn 3 and 4, pounds the wall, puts us under caution for the 5th time today at lap 190. Hard hit.
Oh, yeah. Just got it around backwards and up into the fence. I didn't see if anything happened to it or not.
He was running in the 10th position, Matt Yoakum.
Steve Addington asked JJ what happened. He says, just got too loose on entry, and I couldn't save it. Had a great run going. He had slowly faded back to 10th, but the car is still solid. Now they're heading back to the garage.
Started outside pole, his best career Nextel Cup start.
Well, that's one of those things that you have to learn as a rookie. You go through these learning experiences. I'm so loose. How hard do I push?
Look way on the right of your screen. Here he comes.
I think he did that same thing in the Busch race yesterday. Kind of all by himself. Car got really bad loose. And he spun out yesterday.
Now look 3 cars ahead of Jeff Burton's view.
In front of you.
That's when you come along there and say, oh, please, stay up there, stay up there.
Larry, as the car rolled to the garage, it didn't look that bad.
Well, I think the big problem is the area where the rear spoiler and all is about destroyed, and you're not going to be able to run around this racetrack as fast as they're going with that area in trouble.
Kind of do the math, Mike. 190. Backwards in the wall.
Yeah, no thanks.
Probably not going to fix it too easily.
All right, Dale Jarrett will get the free pass. Once again, reach for that volume knob. We've had a little fun with this earlier today. And on pit stops, we want to hear those air guns, hear those tires squealing, so crank it up.
There's your race off pit road. Pretty much all the guys at the front staying about the same. Kevin Harvick in the 29 gaining 1 position. Mark Martin, one of the first cars to come on the pit road where he's pitting down there at the beginning, gaining 2 positions. And there's their time on pit road. Denny Hamlin in 11, the quickest time, Dick Berggren.
Well, Mark Martin had a good pit stop that time around. He came in the 9th position. This time he took 4 tires, Larry. Last time around he took just 2. Mark has struggled with that race car all day long. It seems as if when he picks up the throttle, it pushes. But when they try to loosen the thing up, you just can't drive it. It gets too loose. Steve?
Well, Dick, Denny Hamlin, again, giving very good feedback to Mike Ford and the crew here. He said, guys, let's keep up with the racetrack. It's just a little bit snug in the center, so they made a small air pressure adjustment and a small weight adjustment. Matt?
Good stop, Steve, for the 99 team of Carl Edwards. Now, he was almost blocked in by the 07 of Boyer. Now, they took 2 tires on their previous stop, 4 on this stop. Meanwhile, Matt Kenseth, the former NASCAR Nextel Cup Series champion, 4 tires, significant track bar adjustment for the 17. Jeannie?
Well, it's become an air pressure experiment du jour in the 20 pit at Tony Stewart. The car is getting tight, so the air pressure that they put in last time, they're taking back out. They're just trying to find the right mix. And the 29 of Kevin Harvick, last 2 stops, guys, hasn't made any adjustments, been very happy with the car. This time, the car's starting to tighten up on him a little bit, and he made a wedge adjustment.
You know, one thing I like about these young drivers, Mike, that scale of 1 to 10, it's a beautiful thing, but they ask them that question, but the driver doesn't tell them how to fix it. He just says, how is the car, give them one, and then they decide how to fix it.
I wonder, though, if today's new breed of crew chiefs and engineers want the driver to tell them how to fix it.
That's the whole point. They don't really want to, they don't really care what you think. They just want to know 1 to 10, how bad is it?
Now
Problem for Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch in the 5 car right now in the 8th position. He's going to be called back to pit road by NASCAR. You can see right there in front of the right rear tire.
They're hanging off for something on the right rear. I don't know why. We went back and fixed it, but they said we got to come back in and fix it.
No, you almost fixed it. It's still hanging out there.
And what that is, that's part of a skirt, which is all part of an aero package NASCAR puts on these cars when they turn sideways at a high-speed track. It keeps them from getting up in the air.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt anything if it come off, except that it would be debris on the racetrack, and someone could run over it. So that's the problem.
Let's see if we can see where it happened. Watch the right rear. Well,
just couldn't get it. He tried to pull it off.
That was a pretty weak effort right there. He just pulled it out there in the way.
Well, he knew he had another task at hand, and that was get to that left rear.
There's a nut. There's a nut.
Ryan Newman, same song, second verse.
And you know, these skirts are actually made out of plastic, but where we're seeing problems is the part of the skirt that's around the exhaust pipe that's out of aluminum, and these skirts are getting so short because they're traveling these cars so much on the ground. There's just not a lot there to begin with.
Yeah, when you go through these bumps down here in 1 and 2, and even in 3 and 4, the car wants to move up and down. It'll hit the ground and cut that. It'll wear that loose. And that's what it does. It wears on it until it comes loose.
We need to mention that Dale Jarrett in the 88 car got the free pass, so we now have 22 cars on the lead lap here at lap 193.
David Stremme, it will be the second car 1 lap down when we restart, right behind Ken Schrader, and try to get back on the lead lap. Puts his arm out the window, hand out the window, get a little cool air into that cockpit. And let's go downstairs for a Visa race break.
Mike, we've been running for just over 2 hours, and Casey Kahn, who started on the pole, actually led for a while as we take this Visa race break. Fastest lap time, just over 182 miles per hour. Greg Biffle, who won this race last year, needing for a good run, overtook Mark Martin, led for 49 laps, but Jeff on lap 82, Kurt Busch didn't have the give and take, according to Biffle.
No, definitely no give and take here. Kurt gets in the back of the 16 car, and around he goes, and he's out of the race. And a lot of damage to Kurt Busch's car also. You see Greg walking to the ambulance.
Biffle was okay. Red flag came out for a while. We got back to running, and Tony Stewart from 40th to 1st, actually started 36th. Led for some 55 laps and was cruising here. In the meantime, Jeff Gordon, who's 0 for 10 in Texas, one of the 4 tracks he hasn't won on, struggling in the pits, actually went a lap down, then made it up, was another lap down. He's at least running in the top 20. Rookie Denny Hamlin. Here's the good, the bad, and the Gibbs. In the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. Takes the lead for the 3rd time today, but then another Gibbs racer, J.J. Yaley, had a couple of laps that he led. Started on the outside row, struggling here.
Yeah, he gets into the turn 3 a little bit too hard. Car gets away from him, up in the outside safer barrier he goes, and his day is pretty much done.
This has been a Visa race break. No matter what it takes, life takes Visa. Dick Berggren is with J.J. Yaley.
And he just moved away from what is left of his car. It is thoroughly bent. What happened? How'd you lose it?
Just got a little bit free into 3 there. You know, we were pretty good with the race car. We kept making adjustments. The adjustment before last, it just made the car really tight. We came back on those adjustments. Car was real good, got a little tight center, it was free in, and I was just trying to baby the interstate battery car so we could get back in there, and you know, just lost it there, unfortunately.
Okay, coming to the green, try to fix it, get it back out there.
He was a top 5 car.
Is that not a great shot?
I love it. Thanks to DLP for providing the cable cam here in Texas.
Doesn't even look real. It looks like, you know,
bird's eye view. As Denny Hamlin takes off. Now on the inside, the first car, that's 2 laps down, Jeremy Mayfield. The car in the free pass position is the 21 of Schrader. All about a 40 of Stremme. It's Hamlin, Kenseth, Edwards, Harvick, and Kane, the top 5. Stewart 6th. Mark Martin, Truex, Labonte, and Sorensen the top 10. Still 3 rookies in the top 10, including our leader.
Bobby Labonte in that 43 car. He's still up there in the top 10 in the 9th position.
And, oh, Stremme trying to hang on. He was trying to get up to get the free pass, but almost tossed it away right there.
I'm telling you right now, he took that thing. Seems like he didn't spin out.
Line inside your corner, inside.
Darrell, we see a lot of 3-wide racing here, but not for very long. Instance of it.
3-wide passing.
Inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not 3-wide racing.
No,
you're right.
They're just passing. Side by side is tough to do here, man. I'll tell you, the car on the inside gets sucked into the car on the outside, particularly coming off the corner.
Tell you what, though, right in front of this 40 car, looking out there in front of Jeff Gordon at 24. Right now, Jeff is in the 12th position, but Robbie Gordon in that 7 car, remember, he got a lap down because of making a pit stop before the caution came out. Got back on the lead lap the hard way by driving in front of the leader, and now Robbie Gordon's back up in the 11th position in that 7 car.
The thing about Jeff Gordon, I've said this over and over again, he kind of reminds me of Tiger Woods. Tiger can play mediocre golf and win, and Jeff Gordon can take a bad day and still get a good finish out of it.
Which is what you have to do to win championships.
Third place race heated up here. Edwards and Kevin Harvick in the 29, the Reese's car. They were all but side by side a lap and a half ago, and now Harvick settles in for this run in 4th place.
Tell you what, if that 29 car, Todd Berry or Kevin Harvick, they can keep the communication going for another 135 laps, make the right adjustments on that car.
Boy, I tell you what, I'm watching this right here, the 8 and the 66. The 66 got the Jeff Green got Dale Jr. loose coming through the tri-oval last time by. Then that really ticked Jr. off. I don't know that this here we go right here. See the 66. He gets Jr. a little bit sideways right there. He said, whoa, dude.
Crash, turn 2, Ryan Newman.
Wow. Oh, wow, that is huge.
Get back to your story in a minute, Darrell, but this is the 6th caution of the day, and it comes out at lap 201.
And Newman was still on the lead lap. And remember, he was one of those cars like Kyle Busch that had to come back to pit road before that we restarted the race on the last caution.
He's driving off, man.
To fix the rocker skirt, so he was back in the pack.
Matt Borland, the crew chief, tell his crew to pack it up for today.
Yeah, when the crew chief steps off the box shaking his head, you know that's a bad sign.
And I tell you, we've talked about pleasant surprises in 2006. This has been one of the biggest disappointments in 2006, this 12 car, their performance on qualifying day as well as on race day.
Watching from Michael Waltrip.
See if anything happens up here.
This was the incident that you were talking about, Darrell, with Junior and Jeff Green.
Yeah, this is the Junior and Jeff Green battle here.
There's Newman sliding up. He was just in front of his teammate Kurt Busch, but didn't see what happened to cause him to slide up into the wall. Big fake out on pit road as Denny Hamlin drove toward pit road and then pulled back out. Newman's gone to the garage. He drove it in as some of the leaders pit. Watch what Denny Hamlin did here in
now,
11.
The leaders only had about 5 or 6 laps on their tires. You see Denny Hamlin in 11, and this is totally legal as long as he gets outside that cone right there, which is a commit cone. Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick in the 29, they stay with him, as well as Carl Edwards in the 99. Basically our top 4 cars.
Dale Jr. among those making pit stops. Elliott Sadler was in. Robbie Gordon, Jeff Green, Kyle Busch, Jeff Burton, Casey Mears stopped, and so did Dale Jarrett.
I just found this. I was watching this little battle right here. Watch 66 Jeff Green. He gets into the back of Junior coming through the tri-oval, moves him out of his way. Now the 66 will get by, and then Junior goes down here, and this is kind of like a little payback, little brush, bump you out of the way, and that would say, "Don't hit me in the back bumper anymore, friend."
That was a little...
It's gamesmanship. You hit me, I'll hit you back.
At 190 miles per hour.
That's a different kind of give and take.
Yeah, right. Good point.
Getting set for the restart, Kyle Petty got the free pass, so we have 22 lead lap cars. 130 laps to go in Texas.
And we're coming to the green.
Rookie Denny Hamlin will lead Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, along with Truex, Kane, Martin, Labonte, and Sorensen. Jeff Gordon in 11th, ahead of Boyer, Riggs, Sadler, and Robbie Gordon. Green flag.
Our top 12 out on the racetrack right now on the lead lap stayed out. That cost them about 5 or 6 laps on their tires. Tony Stewart in the 20 didn't get the greatest restart. He's starting to recover now at the end of the backstretch. Got a great run off turn 2. Look till he drives to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to get 2 positions right there in one whack through 3 and 4.
Yeah, well, Kenny Schrader, something was not right on Schrader's car. He was really slow right up in the groove.
And Stewart got the 29 and the lapped car of Schrader.
Yeah, Schrader was just not very fast through the middle of the corner there.
Kenseth.
Matt Kenseth in the 17 car drives by Denny Hamlin in 11. Now the car in front of them, Jeremy Mayfield, in the 19's 2 laps down.
Hamlin was occupied with Mayfield. Now he goes right to the bumper of Kenseth.
It gives the lead to Carl Edwards in the 99 car.
Boy, both those cars laps before just took off right in the middle of the corner. Down in 3 and 4, almost like it was something on the track. Of course, it could be the same because they're on the same tires.
Now Stewart up into the lead pack. Trying to pressure. He's right behind his teammate, Hamlin, the rookie.
And he just drove right by Matt Kenseth in that 17. Right here, we've got the battle between Kevin Harvick and the 29, Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 for 5th.
I believe old cousin Carl never gets out front. You can kiss him goodbye. He's been lurking back there for quite a while.
Harvick got a good restart, but he got in and amongst the lap down cars, and that held him up and cost him a couple of spots.
That's what happens when you got guys that stay out on tires and guys that come in and get tires. Big disparity in speed right there.
Carl Edwards drops to the inside of Mayfield and goes past. Ryan Newman brought out this caution. He's in the garage with Dick Berggren.
And I'll tell you what, the back end of his race car is really torn up, Mike. The frame is badly bent. What happened?
Well, something happened in front of us. I saw Casey Mears get sideways. I'm pretty sure Sterling Marlin's hairpiece just cut down in his eyes, and he couldn't see what was going on. So it was unfortunate. The Altal Dodge, we were just minding our own business, staying around in the back. We didn't have a good enough car to be up there in the top 5 or top 10. Just trying to stay clean, keep our nose clean, and he pretty deliberately just dumped us.
And the crew's not going to give up. They're working on this car, going to try to get it back out there despite this damage, Mike.
He kept the nose clean, but the back end is a mess.
He's a little hard on old homeboy there, though. Golly, gee, cut Sterling some slack, man.
I think he got his point across, though.
Sterling has had his hands full of his car all day.
Yeah.
Hadn't been very good.
Casey Kane, our pole sitter. Coming up on Kevin Harvick, this would be for 6th place. Our point leader, Jimmy Johnson, the low Chevy, is a lap down. Steve?
And Mike, remember, early in this race, Kane had a very good race car. Then suddenly he said a car got extremely loose. As DW mentioned, it jumped sideways. They were concerned they've had a flat tire. It has been loose since then, but they have struggled and battled to stay inside the top 10, and there they are.
You know, Steve, what happens on the racetrack sometimes just goes through a really quick change. The temperatures change a little bit. A car that was perfect just goes all to pieces.
And Darryl, you and I were talking with each other during the break. It looks like the 9 is a long-run race car, so that car does not like all these cautions we've been having every few laps. Now, I know Casey Kane's teammate Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 car has not been having a great day, but his other teammate, Scott Riggs, in that 10, good run for him today, sitting back there in the 11th position, and after having a top 10 run at Martinsville last week.
Yeah, that car has been getting a little more consistent every week.
He and Reed Sorensen have battled for much of this race. They're now fighting for 10th.
The 10 gets a little more consistent every week, Scott Riggs in that crowd.
Jeff?
As Micah, as Darrell was talking about, the way the racetrack goes through changes, guys. At the beginning of this race, turn 3 and 4 was a cooler part of the racetrack. It was 101 degrees. Now it's 107 degrees. And that's the thing right now. It continues to go up. And also the atmospheric temperature also has gone up since the start of the race, about 5 degrees. All these things kind of come into play. And the other end, cars 1 and 2, it's starting to cool off a little bit. So you're chasing both ends of the racetrack. And for a driver, that's very frustrating. We've seen several guys get real loose in the 3 and 4 end, more so than early on.
Yeah, Jeff, I mean, the sun is setting in the west. It's beaming down on turn 3 and 4 now, and it's got that corner slick. I've seen a number of cars just really get out of shape down there.
Mark Martin, Bobby Labonte, 8th place here. This is the longest that Labonte has run without trouble in 3 races. An engine at Bristol after leading part of the race, and rear-end trouble at Martinsville.
There's Casey Kane in that 9 car. Again, we talked about his car liking long runs. We're starting to get into a long run here, battling Martin Truex Jr. This is a battle for the 5th position. Looks like no longer a battle.
I believe if the 9 and the 1 could get, or the 9 and the 99 could get together, that'd be a heck of a show right there. Because they both like to run high, and I don't know what they would do.
And you know what? They may get together. Remember those good old Texas finishes we've had.
Oh yeah, it's probably going to build up to that. Oh, engine just humming away. 3.5, 4 hours. She just keeps on ticking.
Now he just turns to the bottom underneath Matt Kenseth in the 17 car, gets another position. Casey Kane in the 9, our pole sitter, moves up to the 4th position.
Jeff Gordon now 11th.
Tight little pack right there.
Yeah, behind him Reed Sorensen.
Sorensen right there, and then Robbie Gordon right behind Sorensen. Got Jeff Burton right there, and then the 38 of Elliott Sadler. That's a tight little group.
11th through 15th. All racing hard.
Yeah, those are all lead lap cars right there, from Jeff Gordon all the way back to Elliott Sadler in the 38. He's going to go by Jeff Burton in the 31. It's a battle for 14th.
I give Reed a lot of credit. He's showing Jeff Gordon a lot of respect right there.
In every sense Reed Sorensen had that good run at Atlanta last month, he has backed it up with other good runs at other types of racetracks. No more respect for Jeff Gordon. He just drove to the inside of it.
No, but did you see what the old four-time champ did? He went right down next to him, getting in the corner to try to loosen him up if he could.
You know, Jeff Hammond just talked about this racetrack going through some transitions. I think it's going to the wrong side of Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. This is what happened the last time through turn 3 and 4. Martin Truex Jr. drove by him, and there you see Kenseth up the racetrack. And when you're up there, all you can do is roll out of the throttle and regroup. He'll lose a position to Kevin Harvick in the 29.
Doing a little slip sliding away down in turns 3 and 4.
Well, I think 2 things is happening to this racetrack. It's becoming typical Texas. We've got a lot of rubber down on the racetrack. You start losing that front grip. Plus, as Jeff pointed out, turn 3 and 4, real slick now with the sun beaming down on it.
And the other thing, Larry, too, is all through the race you move around looking for the groove to run in. But at the end of the day, the guy that's going to win this race more than likely is going to win it from the bottom groove.
Make an unscheduled stop. Here's a look at it. Jeff Green drops to the inside, so does Casey Mears, and Jeff has to fight the car.
Left rear, he almost got it up in the fence.
A lot of traffic, and then finally he'll be able to get to pit road.
Yeah, he had to wait till that whole line of cars got by.
Matt?
A few laps before that, Jeff said the car was just starting to get evil, so it was really, really bad on lap 223. Then on 224, the left rear tire went flat. A great job by Gordon to keep it off the wall. But again, the problems continue for Gordon here at Texas.
It's 2 laps down.
Back in 28th position.
Meanwhile, Casey Kane has moved to 3rd ahead of Tony Stewart. Bobby Labonte has moved up a spot to 9th. Matt Kenseth is backing up.
I'm just thinking about this. I bet Jeff Gordon's probably the only guy here today that's not glad that Texas has 2 races now.
And Kane now to 2nd. over Denny Hamlin.
There is no question this has been one of the best runs during this segment here of this 9 car, and we're starting to get reports like from Tony Stewart's crew, the 20 car. His car is starting to get tight. The front end sliding when he's turning the steering wheel.
And that's why the 9's running better. I mean, he's been really loose, so if the track in fact is tightening up, it's coming back to him.
So Casey Kane now up for 2nd place. And his teammate Scott Riggs also doing well, up into the top half dozen.
Yeah, I mean, whatever's happening to the 9 car, it appears it's happening to Scott Riggs in the 10 car because he's up to the 6th position in this 10 car.
And you see his climb through the pack.
And a lot of it has been lately, like in the last 20, 25 laps.
Jimmy, when we get back to that 24, ask you for a little help. Pit 4.
Now, here's the scenario. Those 12 cars that stayed out on that last caution, which would include cars like Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, they're going to have to be on pit road here in about 20 to 24 laps. And they're going to come up shy of being able to make this race on one more stop. Those cars that pitted on lap 202, should we stay green, they can stretch it and make it on one more stop. So pitting, you know, with basically 132 laps to go in the race, if we stay green, could pay off for those 7 race cars.
See, that's the thing I like about this. When you got a tire that you don't have to worry about, you don't have any tire problems, you got to think differently. You got to think gas mileage. And you got to start thinking about pit stops based on gas mileage, not on tire wear.
We talked about it at the top of the show. Comers and goers, and Jeannie, the 29 car is one of those goers backing up.
Echoing, Larry Mack, the conversation that you were just having. Would have, could have, should have. That is the conversation between Kevin Harvick and his crew, wishing they would have come in and pitted. The car has gotten so tight on him. He said, quote, he can't drive it. He asked, how many more laps do I have to stay out here? And they told him about 20. I don't think he's a happy guy right now.
No, Jeannie, and his lap times are about half a second slower than the leader. So how long do you leave him out there when you're losing a half a second a lap?
Well, now you're in a box. You've got to run to your pit. You've got to run as far as you can on fuel because you want to try to eliminate that other stop if some way you can. So I think you got to stay out there a pretty good while. What do you think, Larry?
Well, but I think the thing that Todd Berry has to talk to Kevin Harvick is go back to the 1 to 10 scale. How bad is that thing pushing? Because you don't want to get that right front tire in trouble at these speeds.
Casey Kane is pushing toward the front. The last couple of laps, he's been the fastest car on the racetrack, Steve.
With Kenny Francis as crew chief. Kenny, we heard Casey saying earlier in the race how loose he had gotten. How have you guys rebounded to get back in contention?
Well, we just kept working on it. He still has a little bit of trouble on the restarts, but, you know, we had to just get the track bar down a little bit. We went the wrong way. We tried wedge, and that didn't work, so we went the other way.
And, Mike, their lap times are among the fastest on the racetrack right now.
Sometimes you can, you know, you tighten the car up with wedge, it'll actually make it looser. You get too much wedge in a car, and that right rear tire doesn't have enough weight on it, it'll actually make the car loose, particularly getting in.
And wedge is one of those things we watch that they'll adjust on a pit stop when they put that wrench down through the rear window and turn it one direction or the other.
Teams seem to just be more, they just go right to the track bar nowadays. They don't even mess with wedge. They know what they got, they leave that alone, go to the track bar.
And that would be the track bar on the car.
Roger. That other track bar is after the race.
That's over in the Speedway Club outside of turn 1. Dale Jr. gets a run on Robbie Gordon. This is for 14th place. They're running about 17 seconds behind the leader.
Now, these are 2 of the cars that pitted on lap 202. They'll be able to run a little longer than like Casey Kane, Denny Hamlin, those guys up there right now.
Junior's got him a nice little line going now that he runs up high. He kind of diamonds the corner off. He's kind of searching around.
Matt?
Junior pitted into that last caution. Now, he came on the radio right before that caution. Something is wrong. This car is way tight. It just continues to get tighter. Tony Jr. reversed their adjustments from the previous stop, and the car is a lot better for Dale Earnhardt Jr., currently running in the 14th position.
I mean, I think if you're listening to radio traffic, team, it's everybody's talking about their cars tightening up. That's going to be really good news for some, but if you're already too tight, wrong. Work to do.
Like Kevin Harvick, who drops another spot to Elliott Sadler. He's fallen out of the top 10. Carl Edwards at 240 laps. Out at front of Casey Kane by 2.5 seconds. It's another 2 seconds back to third place, Tony Stewart.
Jimmy Johnson still leading, but look who's in second place, only 5 points out of first. Mark Martin keeps putting the pressure on Jimmy Johnson.
And Mark Martin currently running 7th. And a caution has come out with some smoke here.
Yeah, looks like Kyle Petty has lost an engine. And just remember now, these engines come from Evernhams Motorsports, and they've had a lot of problems as of late. So they headed straight to the garage with this car here.
Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
I tell you one thing, if that caution came in probably the nick of time, because that 9 was chasing the 99 down, and he was going to take first place here pretty quickly.
And the luckiest man in Texas, point leader Jimmy Johnson. Remember, Johnson made a green flag pit stop just before a caution came out and went 2 laps down. Now Johnson will be back on the lead lap.
Yeah, he needs to make a little contribution to the Humane Society.
He's already made a withdrawal from the Luck Bank.
Yeah, but the lucky dog, he was lucky right there.
But I'm going to tell you what, I'm sure a couple of guys that were glad to see that caution backing up in a hurry. Matt Kenseth in the 17, yeah. Kevin Harvick in the 29 especially.
I think the 99 was too, Larry, or else the 9 was just picked up the pace because he was closing in at a high rate of speed.
And we know for a fact we were only within about 6 to 8 laps before a lot of these lead lap cars were going to have to make green flag stops. So this will even things back out because we know all leaders will be on pit road here for 4 tires and adjustments.
David Stremme gets some fresh air. You saw Casey Kane get a drink of water.
So what do you do now there, Larry? You got 84 laps to go. Can't run 84 laps.
Not even really close to it. So I don't even think we'll see cars at the end of this caution even topping off unless it's maybe the last 1 or 2 cars on the lead lap. I think you can see with the pace slowing down, someone maybe stretch it to 68 or 69 laps, yeah, but that would be a stretch.
I'm thinking 70, maybe 72, because you always pick up that last couple that nobody thought you had.
That you and Hammond always had.
Pit stop up here in the booth. Thank you, Mr. Bruton Smith, for keeping us fortified here. Now it's time for the crews to go to work. Pit road is open, and they got a lot of takers, starting with the leader.
I would say probably all 20 lead lap cars will be takers here. Jeannie.
There we go.
Well, Scott Riggs had worked his way all the way to the 5th position. He has had a very, very fast race car, turning laps quicker indeed than the leader. Piccini.
Well, perfect timing for the 20 car Tony Stewart. He says, I am still very tight in the center. I need a little help. Talk again about air pressure and track bar adjustments, Matt.
A great move by Carl Edwards. He angled his car out so that way when he would make his exit out of pit road, he would not be blocked in by the 07 who had a bad entry as well. Track bar adjustment for the 99 of Edwards. It was too tight for the center exit.
And no changes for Casey Kane, Matt. The pit crew very happy. Nick Odell and Kyle Turner, the tire changers. No adjustments to that number 9.
Tell you what, it's amazing. When it's going for you on the racetrack, it's happening out there on pit road as well. Look at there. The 9 and the 11 car both gaining positions on their pit stop. Matt Kenseth gaining 4 positions, and we're pretty sure everyone changed 4 tires here. There's the time on pit road, including the pit stop, and 2 guys that won the battle had the quickest times, Casey Kane and Denny Hamlin. There's the race. Casey Kane, Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart.
Good stop. Celebrate. Led by Casey Kane and rookie Denny Hamlin.
Now, our points leader coming into this race, Jimmy Johnson in the 48, he's back on the lead lap now. He got the free pass back in 21st position.
Talking about Dale Jr., I bet he wishes his car was good as Martin Truex has been all day, because Truex has been up there all day long.
Top 10 all day.
Boy, what a jam up on the restart.
Now, Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, we're looking at him right there. He had been on the lead lap all day long, had a flat tire several laps to go into green, trying to fight to get one of his 2 laps back. That 9 car to the high side is so strong up there on the top side.
And Gordon has to get back in. He cannot be the free pass car because he's 2 laps down, and there are a group of cars just 1 lap down.
So like his teammate Jimmy Johnson did earlier, he wants to get one of them back the hard way, drive by the leader. That's going to be a tall order with Casey Kane in at 9, but he's not giving up.
He's side by side, but Kane gets the good run off turn 2. Gordon's really going to have to shove it hard into turn 3 to stay with him, and does.
But here comes cousin Carl in that 99 car. Carl Edwards, he goes to the high side. He'll take the 2nd spot away from Denny Hamlin.
Gordon, Jeff right now has kind of got them all bottled up.
And while they're bottled up, here comes Tony Stewart in that 20 car fighting his way back. It looks like the groove has moved up. You can get
there we go. Trouble right there.
Carl
99.
Edwards.
99 got around back there. Hang on, baby. I think the 24 something around.
Hard crash for Carl Edwards at lap 257. Caution flag number 8. So much side by side by side racing.
You just get the car on the outside of you and it just sucks you around.
And it's almost like every time this team fights back with a good run, they have something that fights them like this.
Well, it's kind of like I said yesterday, Larry, he needs to go back and see where that horseshoe fell out at. Because he fell out of his pocket somewhere over the winter. You'll see Gordon down on the inside. I think that I think 24 maybe gets, no, Carl gets loose. That's what happened. Come down and 24 was there.
Boy, Tony Stewart just gets by.
I don't know. You think Tony maybe got a piece of that?
If he didn't, it was very close.
Let's see from overhead. Stewart on the in-car radio reporting he's okay.
It sure looked like it. He clipped him when he went by.
Actually get into the side of Jeff Gordon, though, in that right door.
See right here, right here, right here. Ah, man,
that's as close as you can get without getting into it.
It was. Golly, that thing goes hard right there. That was an incredible lick on that inside wall.
So another past winner and another Roush Ford out of the race as Carl Edwards joins Greg Biffle to the garage.
And I hope he's all right. That was a hard lick to that inside. He hit that thing running wide open.
Matt?
Mike, he said he was okay on the radio when Bob Osborne asked him if he was all right. Carl said he just put himself in a bad position right before that restart. Bobby Hudson, his spotter, said, Carl, you just have to be patient. No matter what happens, we need to have a good finish today. They're not going to get it now. This has not been the start to a sophomore season championship run like he had last year that they expected.
Now, guys, here's the deal. With 76 laps to go of our lead lap cars, Kyle Busch in the 5, the 07 Clint Boyer, and this car right here, Jimmy Johnson in the 48, all on the lead lap, came to pit road. These were cars that were at the back of the field. Darrell, you were talking about it a while ago. Maybe you can squeeze 72 laps. I've got to believe when we get the 1 to go, because it's going to take a few laps to clean this up, we may see a lot of these lead lap cars come to pit road and top off with fuel, anticipating we could go to the end green. I don't know if I'm leading the race if I want to give up that track position, but back there in the back, we may see it.
Got to think fuel. That's your most important. That's your best friend right now, is to be able to stay on the racetrack. You need fuel to do that.
Here's one last look at it. You'll see Carl Edwards 99 get loose and go for a wild ride.
See him hop across that bump, and right there she steps out on him.
Carl's mom is always in his pit. Hard hit. Safety always a concern, and one of the biggest concern of drivers is fire in the event of impact. Here is Jeff Hammond with today's State Farm safety report.
One of the biggest problems with a lot of these cars hit the front of the race car is breaking off the fuel pump, which is usually located in this area here. When that happens, a lot of times the fuel flows through these 2 nozzles here from the back of the fuel cell, and that's where the fire comes because of the hot headers. Well, now NASCAR is looking at a new way of getting fuel up to the cars, and it's called the Waterman theory, a Waterman fuel pump, which mounts actually on top of the fuel receiver back in the fuel cell area. if you'll notice, the fuel pump is located right here. It runs off a cable that runs the full length of the car, comes all the way up and attaches into the back of the oil pump right in this area here. And as the engine is running and the oil pump is spinning, it makes the fuel pump pull fuel out of the fuel cell and up to the carburetor. In the event of a hard crash in the front of the car, again, when the engine stops, the fuel pump stops turning because the engine normally quits. No fuel coming up to create a fire like we've seen in several situations. NASCAR is always looking for new innovations and better ways to protect their drivers.
Thanks, Jeff.
Now, that is a Ford engine right there. The GM engine is the one that has that fuel pump right there on that right side, right in the cavity of the frame. Seems like we always have a problem more so with the GM cars. That's the damage we were talking about on the right door of Jeff Gordon in the 24 car. As Carl got loose, got into that door, quite a bit of damage there. No damage to any tire area, but on the right door.
Now, Gordon was the first lapped car behind the leader, but since he was 2 laps down, he does not get the free pass. That instead goes to Kenny Schrader in the Wood Brothers 21. 74 laps to go at the Great American Speedway in the Samsung RadioShack 500 for the Shredder. Today's Allstate Good Hands driver is Tony Stewart. Good hands and steady hands. Stewart does not overreact as he navigates past Carl Edwards' spin. And the orange number 20 continues on to contend.
As close as a miss as you're going to have right there. Man, I know he nicked the end of that bumper.
On behalf of Tony, Allstate will donate a $1,000 scholarship to the Urban Youth Racing School. Allstate, official insurance partner of NASCAR. Dick?
Well, Carl Edwards has just gingerly walked out of the care center and watched that replay. What did you see?
Oh boy, it's just disgusting. Our team we got a great Office Depot team. We got great fans. Everybody's behind us. We had a good run today. I just got in a bad spot there arrow wise, and when it started to get loose, it just sucked the front end over to the 24. And honestly, I thought Tony was all packed up under my bumper, but it wasn't. So it's just nature of the racetrack.
Well, we're going to go green, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Casey Kane looking back at Denny Hamlin. They run 1-2 ahead of Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, Martin Truex Jr., who's had a great day in the number 1, Mark Martin, Reed Sorensen, Scott Riggs, and Bobby Labonte.
And as we anticipated, maybe not as many takers, we had teammates Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson topped off with 1 to go, which was with 72 laps to go.
72 laps, that's exactly how far I think you're going to tank of fuel. That 48 is in the window.
And that 20 is in the hunt for the lead.
He is in the win. Drove by Denny Hamlin in 11 car, pulls to the inside of Casey Kane. Drag race down the front stretch. He'll win the battle. Leads that lap.
Casey Kane's car is not real good on these restarts. Give him up 2 or 3, 4 or 5 laps. Seems like he comes marching back. But he can't afford to let that 20 car get away from him.
Got a great run off turn 2 on the high side on the outside of Denny Hamlin in the 11 car. But while these guys are going at it, here comes Matt Kenseth in that 17 car right up behind them.
And right behind them, Larry, is the rookies. Again, there's 2 of them sitting there in the 6th and 7th place.
Martin Truex Jr. in the 1, Reed Sorensen in the 41 car.
Been a great day for rookies, I'm telling you.
Kane coming back on the high side. Once his car comes to speed, that's where it likes to run.
Yeah, a couple of laps, sometimes 3 or 4, but a couple of laps, and he is on it. Right here, he gets, well, he went up the hill a little bit too far that time.
You could hear him have to get out of the
Got out of it, but that's where he accelerates so hard out of that corner. When he gets in it normally, it'll stick and he goes.
Hamlin takes advantage in the 11.
But here's where he gets that real good run on the high side of turn 2.
And trust me, you just saw like Carl Edwards coming off there like that with Denny Hamlin under you. That's hard to hang on to. Now down here is where he usually really gets a great run, right there off the corner.
And he definitely did that time.
Well, he got her a little loose, though, but he's got so much throttle in it right there.
And stayed in the throttle.
Steve Burns, how about Hamlin?
Well, Mike, Jeff Hammond was talking about how Tony Stewart in the 20 car has been such a mentor to his teammates Denny Hamlin and J.J. Yaley. He's getting the coaching from his pits also. Early this race, Mike Ford, Denny Hamlin's crew chief, said, think big picture, let's have a good finish. But recently he's saying, you can win this race, go get him.
Best rookie finish this year, Clint Boyer, 6th at Daytona. somebody will better that today.
Now, this is a battle for position here between Robbie Gordon in the 7, Kevin Harvick in the 29, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8, as well as Casey Mears in the 42. They're all battling for the 11th position, trying to get to the top 10. Michael Waltrip in the 55 car out there 2 laps down. Elliott Sadler in the 38 car, the M&M's car back there. He's still on the lead lap as well in the top 15. Winner here a couple of years ago.
65 laps to go, and there will be one more pit stop as this plays out.
There may not be for 2 cars. And Scott Riggs in the 10, he is really making a move here. In fact, Jeff Burton in the 31 had to get out of the throttle off turn 2, lost 2 positions, but that moves Riggs up to the 8th position, brought Bobby Labonte in the 43 with him.
Boy, Larry, I'm seeing more and more guys have a lot of trouble off the 2 over there. Just can't get the grip out of there.
It's such a fine line, hitting your marks.
You know, we anticipated Robbie Gordon having a great day. That's his Atlanta car. He ran so well there. Here it is late in the day, and he's up there. He's not out of it yet.
But Robbie needs to close the deal today with a good top 10 finish.
Yeah, no mistakes, no speeding on pit road, no lug nuts loose. Just finish it off.
And it definitely could come down to that final pit stop, whether it's under green or under caution.
And that's when I think the speeding on pit road could come into play.
Tony Stewart just ran his fastest lap of the race. He leads by almost a second. Yikes! .57 laps to go. Matt Kenseth has gone to 3rd, displacing Denny Hamlin. Tony Stewart still leads Casey Kane by 1.2 seconds. Stewart has led the most laps today, 69 of them. Carl Edwards led 50 circuits before crashing out of the race to bring out the 8th caution. Bristol, Martinsville, Texas. Tony Stewart has led 603 laps. Everybody else about the same total.
And remember, you get 5 bonus points for leading a lap in a race, 5 additional bonus points for leading the most. Coming into this race, he had 40 bonus points. That was 25 more than our points leader coming into this race, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 team. There's our 2 rookies, DW. You've been talking about them.
They have done a great job. 3 of them right there in a row. And, I mean, they have been there all day long. They didn't just end up there. They've been up there racing hard all day long.
4th, 5th, and 6th. Hamlin, Truex, Jr.
Look at them. They're just racing each other.
We haven't had 2 rookies finish in the top 5 since Dover in 2002. Jimmy Johnson and Ryan Newman. Reed Sorensen right now in 6th place. We could have 3 rookies in the top 5 today.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen from Peachtree City, Georgia, and I drive the number 41 Target Dodge. This year I'm going for Rookie of the Year. If things go the way I want, in 5 years I'll be the next Tail Cup champion. This is going to be a great season for me and my team because we got a new driver and a team ready to win. My type of girl is any girl. I like to golf. I'm not very good at it, but I'm getting better. I like the Atlanta Falcons, and my favorite player is Michael Vick. Michael's fast. Seinfeld is one of my favorite shows, and Kramer's definitely got to be my favorite character. When I was a kid a long time ago, I used to be a good jump roper. I haven't jumped roped in a while, but I'll give it a try.
Wait a minute. When he was a kid, he's only 20 years old right now, and there he goes by Martin Truex Jr. in the 1.
And this is the best car he's ever had at Texas.
It's all about perspective, Larry. Here's where the rookies run today. 4th, 5th, and 6th. This group, plus Clint Boyer in 20th and David Stremme. J.J. Yaley is out of the race after starting on the outside pole.
And yeah, Sorensen is making his very first Nextel Cup start here, but last year in the 2 Busch races had top 5 finishes in both of those events.
Let me correct that. Yaley's car wasn't fixed too badly for him to catch the early flight home. He's back in the race. 63 laps down.
Yeah, most of the cars, the 26 back out, the 2's back out, Yaley's back out. A lot of these guys have fixed them and gotten back out there and riding some more.
Speaking of JJ, there he is with Michael Waltrip.
Now Michael is saying, dude, how many laps down are you?
63.
And I'm trying to, you know, I'm minding my own business. How about just cooling out? But I say it all the time about rookies. They only know one thing. Race, 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 race. Wide open. Everybody wants to, you know, some of these guys want to ride. They want to race car.
Well, if you had one in your car, would you want him to do anything else?
A lot easier to slow them down than it is to speed them up, I can tell you that.
And this is the battle for 6 right here. Martin Truex Jr. in the 1, Scott Riggs in the 10. And this 10 car just keeps getting better as this event unfolds. It's not giving up as much as his competitors.
He lost 3 or 4 spots on that last pit stop, Dick, but he just drove past Martin Truex into 6th place.
Scott Riggs is having a great day for himself, Mike, with the exception of the most recent pit stop where he came in 5th and went out 9th. And that's what put him further back in the serial order. But his lap times have been absolutely terrific. This is the best run by far that Riggs has had all year long. Finished 10th last week at Martinsville. And oh, we do remember Daytona, where he didn't qualify for the race. What a turnaround. What a good, feel-good story. Scott Riggs, car number 10.
I like Scott Riggs. He's a good guy. He's a good little driver, and I like the way they've turned that team around from Daytona. That could have just been devastating, but they handled it well and it moved on, and it's paying off.
Here's team manager Sammy Johns up there in the gray shirt.
You know, all the drivers in 4th through 7th are seeking their first career Nextel Cup win.
The thing about Scotty, he's driving around these guys. He just went around Martin Truex a lap or 2 ago. He goes by Reed there, and now he's got Denny Hamlin set up down here in 1 and 2.
And he's definitely running the line like his teammate Casey Kane in the 9, all the way to the top of the racetrack.
And it just gets such a run off the corner. Here comes the 38, I think, on pit road, guys.
Elliott Sadler, one of our lead lap cars.
Still there, all clear.
Boy, he just, Scott just made that look pretty easy. He got all those guys in a couple of laps.
And I think the reason the 38 hit pit road is he made that left-hand turn to get a report that he lost an engine. And remember, he comes into this race 9th in the points.
Well, these old 500 milers, I know we say it every time we go to one, but man, oh man, the last 50 laps of a race, it's hard on these bad boys.
And we were talking about strategy, and I know we still have 46 laps to go, but remember, Jimmy Johnson right here in the 48 car, now he's back in 16th position. He's not going to win this race unless possibly we go the rest of the way green. Remember, he and his teammate Kyle Busch in the 5, who right now is in the 15th position, they're about a half a lap down. They topped off the fuel, 1 to go on that last caution. He's running with his teammate Kyle Busch.
Yeah, they're just kind of drafting along. You can do that here. Not a lot of draft, but a little bit.
45 laps separate Tony Stewart from his 2nd win in a row. He has a 1.2-second lead on Casey Kane.
You a better feel for racing here in Texas. The last 2 winners of this race at the Great American Speedway have fallen on hard times. Greg Biffle had led 49 laps. Former teammate of his, Kurt Busch, nudges him. Both were out of the race. Kurt Busch went 48 laps down. Biffle was okay. And then watch as Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart just gets by. Carl Edwards leading in the race for the first time this year. Now out of the race, but Tony Stewart managing to pull back in front. He has led the most laps today, Jeff Hamilton, as we look at the final 37 laps. Can anybody catch Quick Tony?
I think so. Right now, Casey Kane's mounting a pretty good charge. He's really closed the gap a lot due to the traffic that Tony's had to navigate so far. But this thing's a long ways from being over. And these last few laps, as we take a look right now, Scott Riggs, he's making a charge also. He's been passing cars at will pretty much here lately. He just went into 3rd place around Matt Kenseth. And even Robbie Gordon, he's making a lot of noise. He ran well at Atlanta. Here we see him going around Mark Martin for 8th position. And it all could come down to this last pit stop, whether it's going to be gas or whether it winds up being even a situation where we get a caution. We may wind up having to go to a pit stop. When that happens there, you know, somebody can make a mistake on pit road. It could really cost you. We're looking at the back bumper of Denny Hamlin right now, and you look That's Robbie Gordon trying to get to him in 7th. He went real high, got a run off of turn 4, and here he comes to the inside of Denny Hamlin right now. He's going to beat him down in turn 1 and take that position away from him. So right now, even though we're in the latter part of this run, he is really making up a lot of ground, and he's got his eye right now on Mark Truex Jr. in 6th place right up in front of him.
Battle for the 7th spot. He's there chasing Truex, another rookie. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
You know, being a past winner here, there may be a jinx attached to that. Look at the 4 most recent winners, as Chris pointed out. Edwards crashed. Biffle out of the race, got dumped. Elliott Sadler broke. Ryan Newman got triangulated into the wall. So there's your last 4 winners. They're all out.
Let me give you a good omen, though. You bring the same car you won Atlanta with to Texas, good chance you're going to have a good run.
But, Darrell, just like the last time we had a long green run, Casey Kane in the 9 is so strong in the latter part of that run.
Where he's really good is, and how he caught Tony was in traffic. Tony ran up on a couple of slow cars. Tony doesn't like to get up very high, and it seems like it really hurts him when he does.
He's coming up on his teammate Yaley.
He got trapped behind him. He got trapped behind him. Casey Kane pulls up beside him down the backstretch.
Wonder if Tony will wave at him like Michael did.
Well, Yaley was right with Michael Waltrip. He got way out of the throttle to try to get out of Tony's way, but Tony had already committed to a run off the corner on the high side. So here's Tony back for the lead against Kane.
And what happened, he had Casey Kane in the 9 trapped on the bottom. We know Kane's car is not that good on the bottom. Here he is again on the bottom through 1 and 2. Stewart takes the lead back.
Poor Yaley was trying to get out of the way, ended up being in the way, and you see the distance between him and Michael now as Stewart pulls up on Waltrip.
Well, when you're in a wrecked race car out there making laps, you ought to know you're not going to be as fast as the leaders and anticipate that they're coming. Spotter should have helped him with that situation.
You got to anticipate as a spotter, too.
You got that right.
Now, what's going to happen in about the next 15 to 16, 17 laps? The cars that are on the lead lap right now will have to make a green flag stop. But what a run Kane got down the backstretch that time. Tony, but he gave it up getting into 3.
Tony had to get out of the gas over there, Larry. He got out a little bit wide, and he had to get out of the gas ever so slightly.
Jeff Hammond can tell us a little more about getting boxed in like happened to Stewart there.
Well, guys, I was watching just as it come out of the in-car camera. Look at and watch Tony stick his hand out. He realizes he's boxed in. His hand will come out and like say, what's going on here? Come on, man, cut me some slack. He sticks his hand right there. He sticks his hand out like, come on, JJ. I'm trying to race this guy, and you've got me blocked. What's going on here, teammate? Take a look at it again. His hand is already out the window. He wants to make that entry, and all of a sudden we got a battle for the lead, guys.
Kane on the bottom, Stewart up top this time.
Yeah, but there's a car up here that's going to cause him a problem again. I think that 32 car might come into play. Casey just can't get into the turn low like Tony can, but he can get off like a bullet.
But I think if he could get to the high side without being boxed in behind another car, he probably could make this pass for the lead.
Oh, he's there now. I think he's got the faster car. He just got to get around Tony.
Stewart has clinched the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps.
Look at that thing come off that corner, and ooh, he slid right up in front of him.
But as you said, they've caught that lap car of 32 of Travis Quapple.
Right here, watch that 9 car come off the corner. Boy, that thing just comes off that corner, but really where he's so strong is turn 4 and exit.
Steve?
Yeah, Mike, we've been listening to Casey Kane on the radio. He knows they have one more pit stop to make. He's been very confident in that race car. He's just a little bit loose as he goes under the 32, a little bit loose getting into the corners. His spotter, Cole Kane, has been saying, don't play games with Tony. Race your own race.
Well, and he's being very cautious, I might add, and very patient. He's sitting there. He is faster than Tony Stewart, but he's not going to do anything to make a mistake.
What a run he got that time off to again. Down the end of the backstretch, back to the high side. He should be able to complete it this time if he can win this battle off turn 4.
Oh, he can do that. That's his strong suit right there. High, wide, and handsome.
Lap car ahead on the bottom. Here comes Stewart.
But it's all over now.
Yep.
Kane can run the line he needs to run now. The high side and both ends.
But he used so much patience. He saw the lap cars. He didn't force the issue. Let me get you set up. pass clean, no problem.
And Jeff Hammond was pointing out to us, that's something he didn't do a year ago. He pushed the issue sometimes too much.
First year, he was very patient. You know, how many seconds did he have? 5 or 6. I think the second year, he said, I'm tired of second. But he got too aggressive. Now he's back to his old self.
They put the 2001 winner, Dale Jarrett, 1 lap down. Casey Kane, who won his 8th Bud pole for this race and his 3rd top 3 start in his 4th Texas appearance, trying to become the first driver to win here from the front row. Robbie Gordon made a pit stop under green, and the caution came out for a piece of debris in turn 2. Here come the leaders. Dick?
And Scott Rick's crew has decided that they are going to make a 4-tire change. They did discuss a 2-tire change, never discussed a no-tire change. Right behind them, Mark Martin is going to take 4 as well. Jeannie.
Well, we're in the pit of Tony Stewart. Got 4 tires over the wall, and 4 tires is exactly what he'll get. The car's a little tight, but he said, don't touch it. We don't have time, Matt.
Kent is not exactly sure what they can do to make this car better. 1 can of fuel, left side tires going on, and he is away. He may. Nope, he's not going to beat the 20, Steve.
4 tires for Casey Kane, Matt. He wins the race off pit road. He said, I'm loose getting in. Help me there. So they dropped that track bar half a round.
There you
What
see the
happened
race
to
off pit
Clint
road.
Boyer?
Clint Boyer, I've got to believe that was 2 tires. Rolling the dice here with about 20 laps to go. The real loser on that pit stop was Reed Sorensen in the 41 car. All kinds of problems on the right side.
I like 2 tires right now. Get me up front.
I believe his Richard Childress teammate Jeff Burton may also have gotten 2 tires. He picked up 5 spots as well. Casey Kane's crew's had a lot to cheer about today.
Man, and that's when it counts right there, boys.
But here's what's interesting, guys. We're going to have about 17, 18 laps to go. We know Casey's car has not been that good on the restart.
Yep.
Tony's has.
Yep.
Is it going to be good enough to get back up there? That'll be the question.
Reed Sorensen's problems continue. Too fast, exiting pit road.
Yeah, he just got excited, got frustrated because of what happened.
I was looking dead at him, and you can see right there,
he's not in his
not
pit
even
box.
in his pit box. They had to roll forward to get it, still rolling forward. Now he's got both right side tires in his box. And I believe right here, I would have called off 4 tires. I would have done the 2 right sides and been done with it, but they go ahead and make a 4-tire change. And here's where the problems continue as he's leaving, probably very frustrated, too fast exiting.
45 miles an hour is the pit road speed.
Too fast exiting, and he didn't have very far to go. So I don't know, he couldn't have been speeding much.
And that will be tail end of the longest line, and it appears we've roughly got about 20 to 21 cars on the lead lap.
Jimmy Johnson up to 11th place after pitting under green just prior to a caution and being 2 laps down. He got 1 lucky dog, and now he's back up on the lead lap and in 11th. That's how you protect your point lead. Track president Eddie Gossage wanted his scoreboard to read the laps counting down, like at a basketball game or time remaining in a football game. NASCAR said, no, our laps have to count. How many laps have he lapsed? So you see that there. And Eddie got his way over here in a compromise reached with NASCAR president Mike Helton. You get it both ways.
Well, you know what? How many times we say, how many laps to go are there?
And I'd go, how many laps is the race?
10 years strong. Texas Motor Speedway. It's the 3rd NASCAR track in Texas. And they have a great display here where fans can vote on their favorite moment of the last 10 years, like the Robbie Knievel $10 million IndyCar jump. Dale Jr. winning his first Cup race, and Dale Sr. congratulating him in victory lane. And you won't see a trophy in this shot where AJ and Ari got to argue about who won that IRL race. How about Elliott Sadler's win over Casey Kane? Or Sam Hornish picking up the IRL victory. And Carl Edwards getting to do a Texas-sized backflip.
Cousin Carl.
That's pretty cool. You'll remember Texas World Speedway, where we ran 7 races, and NASCAR also raced at a track in Houston, the half-mile Myers Speedway in 1971. Bobby Allison, who's a guest here today, was the winner there.
I bet he was driving a little Chevelle, probably his own car.
Coke machine.
Was it the Coke machine?
Perhaps.
Now, another problem that Casey Kane in the 9 will have, and this is getting me dizzy right now.
What was that?
I think that's actually part of the reflection off the Speedway Club is what that was. But Robbie Gordon in the 7 car is at the tail end of the lead lap because he just had made a pit stop. So he will actually be on the outside of these cars starting lead lap cars, and he'll be right in front of Casey Kane.
Getting set for the restart. Congratulations to Texas Motor Speedway on 10 years of NASCAR.
Robbie might be just good enough to hang in there and maybe get a quick caution here and get back. But I got to believe if that 9 car, remember at Atlanta, Mark Martin took a look at him underneath him, and all of a sudden Casey hit the afterburner. And I think got that same afterburner hooked up today.
You can see on our Fox tracks 193 miles per hour off into turn 3, and that's getting up to speed. Here he comes trying to get by Robbie Gordon in the 7 car. 16 to go for Casey Kane in the 9.
Now I want to see what happens with Clint Boyer. He was the first of the cars that took just 2 tires, and he's holding on to 4th spot behind Matt Kenseth in and amongst a group of lapped cars that include Michael Waltrip and Jeff Gordon. Gordon, what is he, 2 down still, 22nd place.
By virtue of having a flat tire under green.
Casey Kane just really would like to get around Robbie Gordon here, I know. And of course, Robbie is doing everything he can to try to get back on the lead lap. He had the misfortune of pitting right before the caution came out.
He'll finally clear Robbie Gordon, but I want to tell you what, Tony Stewart in the 20 car, he's got a rearview mirror full of Matt Kenseth in that 17 car. Of our guys in the top 5, Matt, one of the only previous winners here at Texas. 10 races, 10 different winners.
Matt needs a good closing deal. You know, he had trouble at Vegas, got passed coming to the checkers, got spun out at, or got knocked out of the lead at Bristol. He needs a good finish here today.
Well, you saw that finish with Elliott Sadler winning. Casey Kane must feel like this track owes him one. 0.028 seconds. He finished 2nd.
Now with 14 to go, this is a wad here riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's back in the 13th position, but this is a lot of racing for position. Bobby Labonte up there in the 43 car.
Look how them moving around. Look like ants.
10 of the top 20 positions changed hands on the last lap.
See Travis Quapple in the 32 car gets up the racetrack 3 wide coming off turn 4. It's hard to make that work. He finally got out of the throttle and let those boys go.
Yeah, Travis is 3 laps down. He got caught there, not by his own making, but he's up on the outside and can't get to the inside.
Meanwhile, at the front, engine number 9, he is chugging toward the finish line. He's got a 1.4 second lead on this number 20 of Tony Stewart, who finds Matt Kenseth right behind.
Hey, Larry, remember we said Kane's car isn't too good on restarts. Takes him a couple laps to get going.
He is like shot out of a cannon.
He is gone, baby.
2nd place here.
This is the battle for 2nd.
He's running those 29.2s now, baby.
Yeah, lap 320, 2 laps ago, was the fastest lap that Casey Kane has ran in this race, as well as Clint Boyer in the 07 car back there where Phil Strongly with only 2 right side tires. He just ran his quickest lap. Great move by Gil Martin, his crew chief.
Another near miss right there.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of them back in here where these guys are all dicing and slicing.
We still have 3 rookies in the top 10. We've not finished a race that way in 5 years in Nextel Cup.
There goes Casey. And there goes Matt.
Yeah, in 7 laps, he's pulled out to over a 3-second lead, Casey Kane in the 9. In pretty clean racetrack for these final 9.5 laps.
You have to give it to Matt Kenseth too, Larry. I mean, he's turned it up, got by Tony Stewart. And if Casey's got any competition, it would be that 17 car if he could get to me.
Before the last pit stop, Kenseth asked Robbie Reiser, what can you do to make the car better, make up some of this gap? And Robbie said, well, what do you want to do? Well, I'm not sure, but anything you can do to make it better, do it. They did.
They gave him a good pit stop. That's the best thing they could do.
Oh, Jimmy Johnson, a wag out the window at Joe Nemechek.
Yeah, because Joe is in 23rd position, 2 laps down in the Army car.
Jimmy is in 12th place.
Seen a lot of that today. But what the thing is, you can't just, at 190 miles an hour, you don't just change lanes. You got to have a little time to get out of the way.
It's a battle between two rookies. Yep. Clint Boyer in the 07, Denny Hamlin in the 11, 2 versus 4 tires. But still, what that's going to do for Clint Boyer, it wasn't a race-winning move, but it's going to definitely improve his position going with just the 2 right-side tires.
4th place. Shadow to sunlight coming out of turn 1.
Whoa. Whoa.
Looking inside. Got the 29 with him.
Boyer's
inside
teammate,
as well.
Harvick,
inside.
coming up for 5th.
And right behind them is the other Richard Childress car, Jeff Burton in the 31 car. So right now we have the 3 Childress cars all running in the top 7 or 8. What a turnaround for this operation.
Boy, right here was that 5:42.01 and the 41. They were crossed up coming through the tri-oval.
Racing for 14th, 7 laps to go.
When the laps run down, the heart rate picks up.
Say the biggest thing Casey Kane in the 9 wants to see is 6 laps of green flag racing. Here's teammates. We're talking about Clint Boyer and Jeff Burton. They're here battling for the 6th position.
I'm like you, Larry. It's still a great move on the 07's part to get those 2 tires, get up there. Maybe he can hold on for a top 10. But he's going to have some. He's going to have some company here.
Yep.
But the 1 car that's coming in a hurry is the 10 car.
There's teammates battling right here. Reed Sorensen in the 41, Casey Mears in the 42. This is a battle for position for 15th. Remember, Reed Sorensen tailing the longest line after that lost caution. Pretty close quarters there getting into turn 1 for speeding leaving pit road.
Scott Riggs gets 1 from Martin Truex and pulls right up on Clint Boyer.
Oh, he's got a great car, and you got to watch it right here. Just get him up the hill, get under him. He had to back out of it because he was so much faster. He's got tires that obviously Clint doesn't, and he was closing in a hurry.
And Riggs powers up into the 7th position.
It's about a second out in front of him to that 31 car of Jeff Burton. Jeff running in the 6th position right now with about 3.5 laps to go.
Jeremy Mayfield, the other M&M car, goes to pit road as Kane comes by to take 3 to go. In his first Texas appearance, he finished 2nd to Elliott Sadler after leading 148 laps.
07 car just took off, and you know, here's Mark Martin. We talk about him all the time, 500 milers. He's up there in 9th place. And Bobby Labonte, who's having a great run today, guys, right there behind him in the 10th place.
43 car, good run for these guys.
It's going to be a good points day for Mark.
Well, he came in here 2nd in the points.
He's going to gain a few on the 48. Not many, but a few.
Right now, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car in the 12th position. I've got to believe if they can close the deal here with 2 laps to go, they'll be very relieved to finish 12th, because at one point he was 2 laps down in this race.
Yeah, he will leave here 12 points ahead of Matt Kenseth.
If everything stays the same for about another lap and a half.
Look at that. Is that guy, is he in any strain?
White flag, 1 to go for Casey
Look
Kane.
how relaxed he is in there. Look at his hands. They're not gripping the wheel. They're just holding the wheel. That car is on a rail, buddy.
26 years old tomorrow.
Up, little swerve there. Little wave.
All he needs to do is get through turn 3 and 4 one more time.
And Casey Kane will become the 2nd Dodge to win here. The first man to win from the front row, the 11th different winner at Texas, Casey Kane, wins the Samsung RadioShack 500.
Clint Boyer in the 07 crashes on the backstretch going off into turn 3.
Well, Larry, he was giving up spots in a hurry, and the car got really loose with him. He was falling back through the field pretty hard.
And let's show you what happened to Clint Boyer on the last lap.
Oh, he was trying. I think he may have been trying to block the 5, and they made contact. No, he got sideways, and the 5 just had nowhere to go but to follow him. 5 did a pretty darn good job of keeping from running into him.
But definitely Clint got bad loose in the 07.
Yeah, I was watching him. He was falling back pretty hard, in a big hurry.
Second win of 2006 for Casey Kane, who with this same car won at Atlanta from the pole. Clint Boyer's climbed out of his car. He is okay.
It's like a Texas-sized burnout coming here.
Let me tell you, one thing, if you blow up my motor, that's fine, but please don't tear up that race car.
Oh, no. Because Lowe's Motor Speedway is coming.
I got a plan for that, baby.
11 races, 11 different winners at the Great American Speedway.
Casey Kane will go to victory lane, and so will we. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
This is how you do it at the Great American Speedway. He finished 42nd here in Texas last year, coming off a rough Bristol race. Now moving up to 3rd in points, holding off Matt Kenseth and Tony Stewart for the victory today. Fox, glad to have you with us for the Sprint post-race show as we are right above victory lane, where Casey is about to hop out of the car here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Steve Burns is down there beneath the confetti. Steve?
Thank you, Chris. Casey Kane's second win of this season. Now, Casey, you started from the pole, but I heard you get a little excited early. The car got bad loose on you. What happened, and how did you guys recover?
I was couldn't believe we were that loose at the start, and just took us a while to get going. Kenny Francis made some great adjustments to our Dodge dealers, UAW Dodge Charger, and I mean, the final run there was the best car I'd been all day. It was a heck of a battle with Tony there. You know, I knew he wanted to hold me off because if he could beat me into the pits, he had a better shot of beating us out, and pit crew didn't let that happen. So just privileged to drive for Evernham. The engines ran great, and thank everybody at the shop. These guys do a great job.
Casey, also heard you express concern about restarts. What was the issue there?
We were just, I just wasn't hitting them very good. You know, I was missing, just wasn't hitting my shifts right perfect, I don't think. But the engine seemed like it ran great. And, you know, Stanley Tools, Mopar, UAW, McDonald's, all the people that support this team, we thank you a lot.
Big smile. Congratulations. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Matt Kenseth scored his 4th top 3 finish of 2006. How difficult going back and forth trying to find that balance, Matt, between clean and dirty air?
We just could never get it quite right. I mean, I was as loose as I could stand it right there at the end, where I got, you know, pretty good, where I could turn behind Tony and actually behind the 7. But as soon as I got in clean air, I was too loose. So we never had the balance exactly perfect today. But through all the hard work of these guys and the great pit stops they give me and great cars they gave me, we got a good finish.
A number of great stops on pit road, scores a 2nd place finish here in Texas. Jeannie.
I'm with Tony Stewart, and so much for the back-to-back victories, but I think it's just a victory that you're sitting here. Take us through what happened with the Carl Edwards spin.
He just lost it right in front of the whole field. He was driving over his head. He was loose about 3 times before he actually lost it. So, you know, I'm just grateful nobody else got caught up in it. I mean, he got into the side of Jeff Gordon, and it slowed him down. The thing that scared me is how fast he was coming across. You know, I never saw whether he got out of the car or not, so I didn't know how he was. But when you see a car go across to the infield wall like that makes you nervous for the guy inside. So I was just hoping he was all right.
Hey guys, he had a hot race car in more ways than one. The fan quit working about halfway through, hence the need for hydration. Great day. Dick?
Well, we've heard Biffle's side of the story. What happened out there?
I don't know what he was doing. I was a lap car trying to get out of the way, and he had trouble passing the 21, and he checked up down the straightaway. I tried not to get into him. I had nowhere to go. So I hate that he had a fast race car. He caught me from like 20 car lengths back in a lap. So I don't know why he couldn't pass the 21. I was just trying to get out of the way.
Okay, thanks, Kurt.
A big win for Casey Kane, a 2nd Texas top 5 for Tony Stewart, and a 1st career top 5 for Denny Hamlin. Stewart jumps 3 spots in the standings, and Hamlin has a big jump of 9 spots to 14th. Here's a look at your top 10. A good bit of three-wide passing. Not a lot of three-wide racing, but boy, a fun race today.
It was. It was exciting. And what made it exciting was you got the normal cast of characters, but it was those rookies. They just kept lurking back there. I expected any one of them to bust up there any time and take the win. I thought Denny Hamlin had a great shot, and Reed Sorensen, a bunch of them did. But at the end, same old guy prevailed at Atlanta. Same car, same result.
And I know when you look at the box scores, you will not see the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson's in the top 10. But what a great rebound by our points leader to fight back from 2 laps down at one point to get a top 15